bathroom that is safe, comfortable, and affordable. Attention first responders, veterans, and active military. Save $500 off your purchase. Visit on Poe Avenue in Dayton or online at mybathcreations.com and upgrade today.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring Class A CDL drivers. $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily dedicated lanes, no touch freight. Apply today at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Hey parents, good news. Kids ages 5 to 11 are eligible for a COVID vaccine. Find vaccines near you at vaccines.gov. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health.
WYNG 1410 Dayton, Dayton's ESPN Radio. We're live. We're local.
What are you gonna miss? He struck him up.
We're Dayton's ESPN radio station. Now, let's send it to the WYNG studios for Dayton's only local sports talk show. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
All right, welcome in. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine, OGW Energy Resources, and Timothy's Bar and Grill. Hope everyone's had a great day. Kev, we're trying something new today. I'm assuming you can hear me, correct?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, let's try this again. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
All right, that's all I needed to know. We're off and rolling here. So here's the thing. Kenner's kind of a little under the weather. I went and got a COVID test. I do not have COVID, but I just, we have the flexibility to work from home. So I'm at the Kinner Estates today. Kev's holding the fort down back in the studio, and that's what we do during these times is we just find ways to make stuff happen, and that's what we're going to do today. Speaking of making stuff happen, how about the Ohio State Buckeyes this past Saturday, Kev, making stuff happen against Purdue? Keith Byers and I, when we did the show on Sunday, he kept referring to the Boilermakers as the potential spoiler makers. And I thought that was very fitting, especially with what we have seen from Purdue, not just this season, but how they've impacted Ohio State in seasons past. With everything that's gone on, I was a little worried about the Purdue matchup. I can't sit here and say I wasn't just a little concerned. But to be honest, I think that was the most complete game from kickoff to the end for Ohio State as far as a complete game's concerned. I know they've had better defensive games, but unfortunately, if we're going to sit here and hold that defense against Ohio State every week, we're never going to be able to look at them in the light that they should be. We know that they have flaws at this point. You only have 2 games left in the regular season. Defensively, Purdue still moved the ball pretty easily on them, especially up the middle. But Ohio State, the firepower they have offensively, Kev, that's what was really most impressive, is because right now you're hoping that you're clicking on all cylinders. Defense still an issue, but offensively, Kev, clicking on all cylinders. Your thoughts?
Offense was beautiful. I mean, it was like, 42 to 14 at one point? 42-14, like in the second quarter. And we refer to that as like garbage time. You know what I'm saying? I know a lot of people look at the final score of 59-31 and like, man, y'all gave up 31 points. Well, we had 42 at the half. You know what I'm saying? So it was kind of like cruise control. So when you look at the offense for Ohio State, things that people were irked about in that Nebraska game, they worked on. They worked on the run blocking. Run blocking was a lot better. Pass protection was a lot better from the offensive line and everything like that. And then you get Garrett Wilson back, one of your most explosive playmakers. You get him back in the mix, and he scores touchdowns from every angle. On jet sweeps, from bombs, from slant routes. He did it all, catching passes. And then you add in Chris Olave doing what he does. Jackson Smith and Jigba out here over 1,000 yards receiving, and he's technically the third receiver on the team. So the offense is clicking on all cylinders. And don't forget about the running game. Mayan Williams got a little bit of action as well. So, you look at the teams that are left on Ohio State's schedule and you say, can they score with us? Because apparently this team can score a lot of points. So what team out there left on our schedule can win a shootout versus us? I don't think there's anybody that can win a shootout versus Ohio State that's remaining on the schedule. So the defense can be average at best, and I believe that we should win out these last 2 regular season games and the Big Ten championship game and make our way into the college football playoff, and then roll the dice and see if we can come away with a championship, because I don't think any Michigan State or that team up north or whoever's coming out of the Big Ten West can keep up with us offensively.
Ohio State and C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud headed into that matchup with Purdue with 5 total rushing yards on the season. We talked about some of the resistance he was putting up to the criticism he received last week regarding his inability to make plays with his legs. Well, I was kind of curious to see if after all that pressure that was on him, Kev, would he try to force it? Would he try to – no, actually – whether people like it or not, I actually love that a young freshman quarterback like this, or second-year quarterback, first-year starter, is not letting the noise impact how he plays, because we could easily look at it from that angle, that a lot of, there's a lot of noise about his inability to make plays with his legs. He put up some resistance last week saying, hey, I'm not a running back. My job's to be the quarterback. My job's not to run the ball. My job is to throw the ball. And that created a little bit of stir and some criticism. But what I love about the kid is that he didn't let that noise get to him. He didn't try to play outside of who he is this past Saturday. I know everybody wants to see him make plays with his legs, but he's sticking to what he's comfortable doing. Don't have to like it, but I think that shows a lot of mental toughness from the kid, who's not letting the outside noise dictate how he plays. He's sticking to what he knows he can do. But he headed into this week with only 5 total yards rushing, and while he heads into next week against Michigan State with 4 yards rushing. He finished with -1 on the day.
Yeah, I saw he actually kept it on one of those zone reads and got out of bounds real quick. Like, yeah, man, I'm not trying to get hit. I'm a quarterback. I don't want to get hit. And I don't blame him. Let's be real, man. Nobody wants to get hit. But, yeah, I mean, he's more or less, quote unquote, sticking to his guns or whatever. And I can respect that. I mean, he wants to prove that he's a pocket passer. And that's exactly what he's been doing all season long, is distributing the ball to the playmakers and everything like that. So as of right now, it's not an issue. But if there's a point where like he's just like sitting in the pocket, a la what happened in the Nebraska game where he's hitting, he fumbles, where there's like a ton of green grass in front of him, then people will start talking again, like just take the yards that are there for you to take. You know what I mean? So, I mean, we got a big matchup versus Sparty at noon. I know you love that. This coming Saturday, man. And all I'm hoping is we take care of business and that team up north take care of business, so we can have another epic matchup the following Saturday at noon.
Yeah, we'll talk about that team up north coming up in a moment. I think it's, you have Michigan State coming up on Saturday. And this is definitely not a trap game. I know that the game is what everyone's focused on and wants to get to, but Michigan State right now, the number 7 team, you have to keep an eye on what they're doing. And if you slightly take your foot off the gas against them, they're going to punch you right in the mouth, especially with that running back. And that's the problem with Michigan State, is their strength matches up perfectly for them against Ohio State's weakness, and especially the interior of that defense. And, the run game has been something that Ohio State's really struggled against, as through the air, pretty much everything defensively. But you focus too much on Michigan. Michigan State's going to punch you in the mouth. I think Ryan Day's done a good job since basically day one of taking over, where he's always had this team mentally prepared no matter who the opponent is. Ryan Day makes it more about who, how to prepare for the game from your side as opposed to preparing for who's on the other side. I think as long as Ohio State comes out prepared to face Michigan State, they'll be fine. But every time you have this week before that team up north, it always becomes a little alarming, because how much are they looking forward to that game? Because this year it's a little different. Michigan, it's a potential playoff game. Yeah. I mean, the winner of that, could go to the Big Ten championship game. That's huge. So I do worry that that possibility could potentially be there, where Ohio State's are so focused on that team up north that they take their foot off the gas against Michigan State. I don't think that's going to be the case, but it is something to keep an eye out for. How do you think this week is for Ohio State preparing for this team, knowing that the biggest showdown of the season is coming up? I heard Paul Feinbaum refer to the Ohio State-Michigan game earlier today as easily that's going to be the biggest game of the entire season outside of any playoff game.
No doubt. But the thing about it is Ohio State's not overlooking Michigan State, because Michigan State is a real good football team, and they only have one loss on their side as well. So this is an elimination game. As you would say, this is a playoff game. The team that I would be worried about not holding up their end of the bargain is that team up north, because they don't have a quote unquote big time opponent before the Ohio State game. They have, what you could perceive as a trap game, because everybody's saying like, okay, all you got to do is win this game, and then you play Ohio State for all the marbles and everything like that. And, they have Maryland. They go to Maryland this Saturday at 3:30, while Ohio State and Michigan clash for it all at noon. So after our game, they'll know what next week is going to bring. So they're the ones in the position of having a trap game, not Ohio State. So if God forbid, if Sparty beats us, I can expect Michigan probably to lose that game to Maryland because they don't have the tiebreaker. They wouldn't have the tiebreaker versus them. But if Ohio State wins, as we're expecting them to do, they know everything will come down to that game the following Saturday. And I think that Michigan will go out there and thrash Maryland. So they're the ones in a quote unquote situation with Maryland. So I'm confident Ohio State will come out ready for Michigan State. I don't think it's going to be a blowout situation. I saw they were favored by 19 or something like that. I think it'll be a good game, but ultimately I think we just had too many weapons and we'll end up pulling away in the end and everything like that, setting up something so epic. But like I would normally say, one game at a time.
So you have Michigan at Maryland this coming up weekend. Saturday, it's a 3:30 kick on Big Ten Network. Michigan, a 15-point favorite on the road at Maryland. You talked about Ohio State. That line is massive. A 19-point favorite. Ohio State at home. This is what always fascinates me is Michigan State. People get when they talk about the biases of the world when in college athletics, especially college football, when it comes to the SEC and the Big Ten. Big Ten fans get real defensive when you see Michigan State ranked so high and everyone's like, oh, that's way too high. They're not that good. Oh, but if it was an SEC team, it would be justified. And I know these lines, some people don't like to buy into them, but those lines are telling. Those lines are telling you that Vegas doesn't respect Michigan State, that they don't look at Michigan State, who has been in the playoff picture, from the beginning of the season to now. They don't look at them and say, oh, yeah, we put them on that same level as all the other playoff contenders. The fact that they're a 19-point dog is strange to me. And I think it could play a weird role in this game because Ohio State, it's going to be one of those things where if they only win by a field goal, they only win by 10, I don't think they're in a position where that's going to be held against them and kept out of the playoff. But the perception is going to be that Ohio State didn't play well if that's the case because you didn't cover. I'll be surprised if Ohio State covers. But again, if they come out like they did offensively, Kev, this past Saturday, I think Ohio State covers and then some. But we've seen stranger things happen in this Ohio State-Michigan State matchup and rivalry in the past, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, the thing about it, the good part about it for Ohio State is no matter what the score is, if they win 2-0 or if they win 100-99, it really doesn't matter because as long as Ohio State handles their business and wins the game, no matter what the score is, and then wins the game versus that team of North and then wins the Big Ten championship, they will be in the college football playoff. Other schools can't say that. You know what I'm saying? This team down in Cincinnati, the Bearcats, they can't say that. They have to blow teams out, and they haven't been blowing teams out. They've been winning, but they haven't been blowing teams out. So as long as Ohio State wins, I prefer them to blow everybody out. That's the preference that I like. I like kicking back in the second half and flipping around the channels and turning back on the TV to see what backups are in the game and everything like that. I would prefer a blowout. It's better for my heart and everything like that. But, the simple fact is Michigan State is going to come to play. They have a power running game. And that running back, Kenneth Walker III, man, who would imagine a guy, a 2-star recruit from Wake Forest transferring to Sparty, basically becoming a Heisman contender and being on all the NFL draft radar and everything like that. It's a remarkable story, but hopefully that story comes to an end this Saturday versus the Buckeyes.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash live here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. The phone lines will only be open today during our commercial breaks, as that'll give us time to rack up all the calls and get it organized, and then we'll take your calls, obviously while we're on the air, but we're not going to be taking calls during these segments. So if you're trying to call in right now, phone lines aren't open yet. They'll be open coming up here shortly. We're live on Facebook. Head to Facebook, search the Justin Kinner Show on Facebook, like the show page, jump in on the conversation below. Kev, some other criticism being thrown towards the SEC this week when you see a lot of these teams playing some of these strange opponents. You have Ohio State playing Michigan State. You have Michigan and Maryland going head-to-head, and I know Maryland's not a big, tough opponent, but then you look across and you see some of these weird Texas A&M playing Prairie View A&M. And Georgia, the number one team in the country, they don't even get a line on this game yet because it's Charleston Southern, and God knows how much they're going to thrash them by. Where are you at with these teams playing this level of competition at this point of the season? I know so many Big Ten fans, Ohio State fans, they get mad, they take shots at the SEC. My view on all of this is I don't know why we care so much about what the SEC is doing, because if they win and take care of business and you lose, you didn't lose because they were playing somebody easy. You lost because you didn't take care of what's in front of you. We care so much about what that SEC conference is doing. We talk so much about their scheduling antics, their recruiting antics, the SEC biases and everything. And it fascinates me, for one, because everything that the SEC does, the Big Ten is allowed to do as well. They just choose not to. I've always used this analogy where if you're in college and the professor says, hey, just so you know, for the final exam on Friday, everybody gets to use a cheat sheet. Everybody can have the answers to the exam, and you can use that on the exam on Friday.
That's my kind of teacher.
And then you have half the room says, okay, we're going to use that. We're going to use that. And then the other half of the room says, no, we want to challenge ourselves. We want to take the test without the answer sheet. And then they get their grades back. And then the half of the room that did not use the answer sheet or the cheat sheet, they're bitching and complaining because, they didn't like the grades that they got. And that side of the room that used the cheat sheet, they all got passing grades and how it's unfair. Well, that's exactly what's going on here. There is no rule restricting the scheduling model that the SEC uses for this stage of the season. So it fascinates me that we're mad at the wrong conference. The Big Ten, Ohio State, Michigan, whatever your team is, we get so angry at the SEC. We get so angry at Alabama and Georgia and these teams for doing what they're allowed to do, because I guarantee if the Big Ten scheduled this way, they would do it as well. And I've always said, why does it matter when you play a bad team? What's the difference between playing a bad team in September and playing a bad team here in the midpoint in November? I just think people focus way too much on what that conference does instead of focusing on what this conference does. And if you have a problem with it, either complain so that the Big Ten could do the same thing, or just be quiet, because it doesn't make a damn difference at all. As if the only reason Alabama's good is because they play some weak teams later in November as opposed to in September. Georgia, the number one team in the country, they have Charleston Southern. So they're going to make the playoff as the 1 seed because they're playing Charleston Southern in November. I just don't understand the hatred that people have for this, because I guarantee you, if Ohio State could do it, they would do it.
I have no problem with it at all either. It is what it is. It's their conference. It's their conference rules. And this is what happens when you have conferences that work independently of each other. Like, there's no governing body over college football to say you have to do this thing, you have to do this thing. They have to have a non-conference opponent in that slot because they only play X amount of conference games. So to fill out your schedule to have like 12 games, you have to have a non-conference opponent. So what you want them to do? Dial up, I don't know, shoot. You want them to dial up Clemson again? You want them to dial up, I don't know, some team from the Pac-12? The Pac-12 is not going to do that. Pac-12 is not going to travel to Georgia at the end of the season. You know, Oregon's not going to be like, yeah, let's play Georgia right before we play in our conference championship game. No, everybody's out for themselves. Every conference is out for themselves, trying to put themselves in the best position to win their conference championship and to win the national championship. So it makes no sense for any other Power 5 program to travel to Georgia or any other SEC team to go get into a physical matchup before they go and play in another conference game. It just doesn't make any sense. I have no problem with what they do. It is what it is. I could care less. And I'm with you 100%. Why are we so worried about what they're doing? What they're doing is a constant thing with, you know, the Big Ten country and SEC country. They're always looking, well, why are they doing that? Why are we doing this? Why are they doing that? Well, that's not how you should do things. Like, I don't care. Because the great thing about rooting for a team like Ohio State, if we handle our business, we will be where we're supposed to be, which is in the college football playoff. So it don't matter what they do. It don't matter what they do. It's been proven that Ohio State can have one loss and still make it to the college football playoff. So what they're doing, it don't faze you. It's a famous phrase, says, what you eat don't make me. And that's exactly what Ohio State fans and Big Ten fans are doing. You're worried about what's on somebody else's plate. That's not your plate. Don't worry about what's on somebody else's plate, because if Ohio State eats their plate, we'll be in the college football playoff.
Absolutely. And again, I've always said, too, you can't sit back and look at the conference that's the most successful and then complain about how they do it while you continue doing it a way that's not working. And, the Big Ten hasn't won a national championship since 2014 when that was Ohio State. The only other Big Ten team to even make the college football playoff since then was Michigan State, and they were shut out. That's crazy to me that only 2 Big Ten teams in the history of the college football playoff, as we head into the 7th playoff, only 2 with a conference that has Penn State and Michigan State and Wisconsin and some really good teams, okay? So the fact that Michigan State is the only other team outside of Ohio State that's ever competed in the college football playoff and they got shut out in the process, that to me says, hey, fans of a team in this conference, we need to stop screaming and hollering about the way that the SEC does things and start asking, how come our conference doesn't do it that way? Because you can't get mad at the conference that does things a certain way that obviously that leads to the results that we wish our conference was getting on a regular basis. Not that me as a Buckeye fan is rooting for Michigan or Michigan State or others, but there does come a point where you start taking pride in the conference that your team plays in. And I'm not going to lie, this has been a much better year for the Big Ten, Kev, but we weren't expecting this coming in. But this is how it should be more years than not. We should have an Ohio State to Penn State to Michigan State to Michigan. We should have Wisconsin in the mix. We should have more teams in the playoff mix every single year. And it's rare at this point to be talking about Michigan, Michigan State, and Michigan as all playoff contenders as we currently sit here in mid-November.
The only other team that's holds their weight in the Big Ten is Michigan State. And that's the crazy thing about it. When you look at the Big Ten, you talk about football powers, you're not automatically going to go to Sparty. Your first inkling is obviously Ohio State, then for some strange reason, Michigan, then Penn State, and maybe Wisconsin, and then Sparty. But like you just said, the only other team to make a college football playoff run is Sparty. So they're coming back to the party. They're coming back to prominence. They're coming back to say like, hey, man, we can't allow this to be a one-team conference. So I don't even them down in the SEC scheduling Charleston Southern right before their big rivalry games and everything like that. That doesn't mean anything to me. If I'm a Big Ten fan, I would be looking at everybody else. Like if I'm Ohio State and I'm the Ohio State AD and everything like that, I'm saying, hey, when are y'all going to hold y'all weight? When are y'all going to bring y'all weight to the party? Like we split all this revenue and everything like that. And it's always on us to hold it down for the Big Ten. When we go down to the Sugar Bowl and everything like that, and they get to chanting SEC at us, and if we lose, the whole conference sucks. No, we just lost. Where are y'all at? When are y'all going to have our back? When can we have a quote unquote off year and y'all come up there and snatch it? When Alabama has an off year, you know who wins it? LSU. You know what I mean? So like it's up to the conferences, the other schools in the conference to hold up their weight. And this year we're getting that. We got Sparty. We got that team up north early on. Iowa was in the mix and everything like that. And that's all you really need. You only really need 3 teams to hold up their end of the bargain. And it don't matter which ones it is, as long as it's Ohio State and 2 others.
All right. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash here on 1410 ESPN Radio. We'll step away for a few moments. We'll open up the phone lines. 518-1410. 518-1410. We're live on Facebook as well. Kev David Shaw says he's been saying it all year, fellas. Ohio State is your Big Ten champion. The playoff is another matter, but there isn't a Big Ten defense that is stopping that offense. Talking about Ohio State, of course. Ann Anderson talks about the schedule, and Kev, she says you play who's on your schedule. Schedules are negotiated without a conference teams years in advance. Cupcake opponents put one hell of a lot of money into, their pockets or what have you. So, again, like I said, with everyone criticizing Alabama, and Alabama, they don't have a weak opponent this week, but usually at this time of year, you see them put on those, horrible schools that you're like, what are you doing playing those teams now? If Ohio State was capable of playing those schools at this time of the year, don't you think that they would rather play, some of these smaller schools as opposed to having to play Michigan State the week before Michigan?
Right.
Don't hate the player, hate the game. Question why the Big Ten isn't following what the SEC is doing, because the SEC seems to know what they're doing when it comes to that.
You think that's the reason that they won
Facebook says the weather envy is real as well. And Robert Miller, big Bama fan, says over 1 million went to New Mexico State. Thank you, Alabama and the SEC. My big thing on that is, and Ann brought up a similar point, I don't really care about funding those smaller schools. Like if you can't afford to stay open without Alabama having to put money in your pocket to come get a butt whooping late in the season, maybe you shouldn't be Division I, maybe you shouldn't be a football program. But I do see what they are saying. Those schools aren't complaining. They like the money coming their way. All right, lots more coming your way. The college football playoff rankings do come out tonight, and Ohio State has nothing to worry about, as does the rest of the teams in the top 4 from last week. But the one thing I'm going to be keeping an eye on is, that team up north. Heard Heather Dinich and Paul Feinbaum talking earlier today across ESPN platforms that the college football playoff committee really loves Michigan. And could that be a team that bumps Cincinnati out of the way, or at least flip-flops? We'll find out. Cincinnati again took care of business this past Friday night, finally getting that blowout win that everyone had been clamoring for, especially me. Shut me up for a little bit. Not long, though. I'll find something to complain about, I'm sure. But we'll get into that with Jason Fitz. Cleveland Browns, Bengals fans, AFC North fans in general, how many of you actually think that your team is in the best shape heading into Week 11? The Bengals have lost 2 straight. They got embarrassed by the Jets, embarrassed by the Browns. How confident are they heading into this week coming out of the bye? The Browns, after getting that big win over the Bengals, didn't just lose, but got absolutely demolished by the New England Patriots. How do they feel about themselves heading into Week 11? The Steelers just tied with the Lions, and the Ravens have lost 2 of their last 3. I have no clue who these teams in the AFC North are, and I'm very curious. All the fan bases out there, how confident are you in your team heading into Week 11? Kev, question for you to answer on the other side. Which of those AFC North teams should feel the most confident heading into Week 11? We have all of that coming up. Plus, for everyone that hates Baker Mayfield, it's mock draft season, baby, and I've already seen a few that are replacing Baker Mayfield in this upcoming draft. I'll tell you who that quarterback is amongst the popular ones. We'll talk about all that when we come back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be mainly clear and sunny, a high near 55. Tonight's going to be mostly cloudy, a low near 50. And tomorrow's going to be mostly cloudy and windy, a high near 70. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
When others treat your fries as an afterthought, all you're left with are cold, soggy fries. That's why Wendy's new fries are ones you won't forget, guaranteed to be hot and crispy, or we'll replace them. We're talking natural cut, skin-on fries, perfectly seasoned with a hint of sea salt. In fact, they're even preferred almost 2-to-1 over McDonald's. These are fries so hot and crispy, they beg a new question.
What would you like with your fries?
Try them today, only at Wendy's.
At participating U.S. Wendy's, taste preference based on a national taste test by an independent research company.
We're a farm store, a family store, a look what I found store. We're a store made for real people and some real beasts. We're a hey neighbor kind of store and an everyday low price store. We're Rural King, and we're working hard to be your favorite store.
Black Friday starts now with white hot deals, like $99 for a DeWalt Max drill kit or frying oil, perfect for the holidays, just $24.89.
Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street are huge supporters of the Dayton Flyers. Whether you're one of the 13,000 fans cheering on the Flyers at UD Arena or one of the hundreds of fans packed inside Tim's on game day, there is only 2 places that you can feel the passion of the Flyer faithful more than anywhere else. Timothy's Bar and Grill is also a sponsor of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash in the afternoons and the Talking Out Loud Hour on Thursday nights with Sully. Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street. Go Flyers.
Hey, here to tell you about my friends at Cordell Transportation. They're now hiring Class A CDL drivers and offering a $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, a $5,000 sign-on bonus, home daily, dedicated lanes, and no-touch freight. Brand new equipment as well, medical, dental, vision, and company-paid life insurance. Call Cody right now. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
College Football Hall of Famer Keith Byers here to tell you about OGW Energy Resources. If you own a home or a business and want to save money, then going solar with OGW Energy Resources is the way to go. OGW Energy Resources have been helping the Miami Valley save money by going solar for over 14 years. There is no better time than now to look into going solar. For more information, check out their website at ogwenergyresources.com. Go solar today. OGW Energy Resources. Your energy, your future. Control it.
Many Vietnam War veterans were unknowingly exposed to dangerous chemicals impacting their health and quality of life. There are now expanded benefits for veterans exposed to Agent Orange. Veterans with Parkinsonism, bladder cancer, or hypothyroidism who previously applied for VA disability compensation but were denied should reapply and might be eligible for retroactive compensation. Exposed veterans who have not yet applied should consider filing a new claim. For assistance, call Montgomery County Veterans Service Commission at 937-225-4801.
Life is already full of surprises, but your tuition shouldn't be one of them. While education costs rise in the U.S. every year, University of Phoenix is committed to protecting you from rising tuition costs with our tuition guarantee. We lock in your tuition so you can count on fixed, affordable tuition from the moment you enroll to the day you graduate from your program. Learn more at phoenix.edu.
Lowe's Provember event is back, and we're thanking pros like you all month long with buy one, get one free deals on select DeWalt power tools and top values like a Spider 2-pack of 4.5-inch diamond cutoff wheels for $14.98. Join us for Provember, going on now through November 24th. Shop in-store or at lowes.com/Provember. Lowe's, the new home for pros. While supplies last, U.S. only, valid 10/28 through 11/24.
5G is here, but the big carriers want you to sign a pricey long-term contract to get in on the action. Well, no more, because Straight Talk Wireless has rolled out 5G coverage nationwide, with plans starting at just $35 a month with no contract. And get a Samsung Galaxy A32 5G for only $299, all on America's best networks. 5G coverage, 5G phones, less money. Straight Talk Wireless, no contract, no compromise. 5G capable device required, actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
Get in zone, AutoZone. Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? So your wipers are streaking. It might be time for a new set. We've got a great deal to help you get the job done and be ready for the weather ahead. Right now, you can get a $15 AutoZone gift card by mail or email when you buy 2 Bosch Envision wiper blades. And we've got even more ways to shop. Just order online with our free same-day store pickup or next-day delivery.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Start your job today at AutoZone.com. Restrictions apply.
What can give you a competitive edge in today's red-hot housing market? Rocket can. That's because Rocket Mortgage can give you a verified approval. It could help your offer stand out, because when you find the perfect home, you don't want to lose it to anybody else. Rocket Technology provides a rock-solid verification of your income, assets, and credit, giving sellers and their agents greater confidence in you. We've already helped over 1 million clients just like you reach their home financing goals this year alone. So remember this, what can help you buy the home you really want? Rocket can. Go to rocketmortgage.com or call us today at 8338-ROCKET. That's rocketmortgage.com or call 8338-ROCKET.
A verified approval is based on an underwriter's analysis of your individual financial information, appraisal, and title report. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender licensed in all 50 states and MLSConsumerAccess.org, number 3030.
Hey parents, good news. Kids ages 5 to 11 are eligible for a COVID vaccine. Find vaccines near you at vaccines.gov. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Football fans, the Sunday Morning Tailgate Show is officially back. Every Sunday morning starting at 11:30 a.m. College Football Hall of Famer Keith Byers and Justin Kinner will be live at Frickers on 741 by the Dayton Mall. The guys will recap the biggest games from college football Saturday, including your Ohio State Buckeyes. The guys will also get you set up for the day's biggest NFL matchups, featuring your Cleveland Browns, Cincinnati Bengals, and more. It's the Sunday Morning Tailgate Show, live from Frickers on 741. Sunday mornings at 11:30 on 1410 ESPN Radio. Whether you're at home, at work, or in your car, tune in to ESPN 1410 Wing AM or stream us live at wingam.com.
All right, we welcome you back. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. Show has a little bit of a different look for those of you watching live on Facebook and YouTube, which we always appreciate those who do go that route. I'm doing the show from home today. Kev is holding down the fort back in the studio. But either way, we found a way to make it work today, and glad to be hanging out with you here on a Tuesday. College football playoff poll to be released tonight, at least the updated one. You know, it's going to be your typical 4, especially after last performances over the weekend. Kind of a boring college football weekend. Everything kind of happened as it was supposed to, at least for the main contending teams as we currently sit here. College basketball side of things, the Wright State Raiders on the road tonight at Purdue. I don't even know what to make of these games, man. Like, Purdue has 4 guys 6'10" or taller, Kev. Wright State has 1 guy at 6'9".
Didn't he score like 40 last game?
37.
Close enough.
Against normal-sized folks. Marshall's pretty solid team, but Purdue, we're talking about a different animal in Purdue. And one thing I do want to say, I'm labeled, everyone thinks I hate UD. I don't hate UD. Actually, last night watching the Ohio State game, it made me think of something Flyer-related. Everyone's panicking about the Flyers and their loss against UMass Lowell over the weekend. They lost to UMass Lowell 59-58. It's Anthony Grant's worst game or loss that he's had, and that includes a list of losses to Fordham and LaSalle multiple times, and others. But I will say, after watching Ohio State last night, I'm not worried about that Dayton Flyers loss that they had over the weekend. Here's why. Ohio State have opened up the season against Akron and Niagara in back-to-back games. They won by 1 on a buzzer beater against Akron on game 1. We've talked about this, or at least from my angle, Ohio State. You're the Ohio State University. No one should come close to touching you, at least especially the teams that aren't like a Cincinnati or a Xavier who play in bigger conferences. There still should be a significant gap. Niagara, they win by 10, but free throws, and they had to pull away late to get that win. But last night, they absolutely throttled Bowling Green. Now, those are 3 opponents that I don't really put a whole lot of stock in as far as, from a competition standpoint. Those teams weren't put on the schedule to provide a competition for Ohio State early. Those are usually the opponents you put on early. You beat up on those teams a little bit. I love Wright State, but I know Wright State is being put on the schedule for Purdue tonight so that they could beat up on Wright State and kind of get prepared. But Ohio State, they were shaky against Akron, shaky against Niagara, and it's like that switch was flipped last night against Bowling Green. If that loss, that type of, like last year when UD started losing late in the year, like when they were losing to Fordham and they were losing to LaSalle and they just had some horrible losses, those were late in the year where you're supposed to be playing better basketball. It's understandable to play shaky basketball to start the season. Your legs aren't completely under you yet. You're still trying to learn it, and this is a young team. I'm getting a little annoyed with the young team excuse for UD because keep in mind, it's easy to keep calling them a young team. For a lot of guys that were on the roster last year, everyone got to keep their same year of eligibility. So I'm getting kind of tired of people hiding behind that excuse for the Flyers. I will throw that out there. I don't want to hear that they're young. You're still the Dayton Flyers. You brag about the talent that's on that roster. You still shouldn't be losing to UMass Lowell. But if you are going to lose to a team like that, lose early, because those are at least the built-in excuses that make sense of a team with some new players that are trying to figure their roles out. They're trying to get that team chemistry down. I don't want to hear about young teams. There's a lot of young teams in the country. A lot of times Kentucky is young on a year-in, year-out basis with a lot of their one-and-dones. They find a way to get it done. So, and they play better competition. So all I'm going to say is this, is I'm not freaking out about that UD loss. You fans shouldn't worry about that UD loss. Put it behind you. As long as you keep showing you're getting better, moving forward, that's all that matters. I know that sounds like a Kev Nash bumper sticker, just one game at a time, right,
yes, Kev?
Sir. But last night, watching Ohio State, I was worried about that Bowling Green game. I'm like, man, they had to hang on for dear life against Akron. They looked very pedestrian against Niagara. Bowling Green has a little firepower. That kind of worried me a bit, and that made me feel dirty saying that about Ohio State basketball. But yet, they took care of business, bludgeoned them. 89-58 was the final, and the only thing that could slow Ohio State down was the clock when it hit 0. So Ohio State showed they're getting better. They got Xavier coming up. I'm putting that UMass Lowell loss for UD behind them. It is what it is. But you start stringing together more of those bad losses, then there's going to be a problem. But again, I think the concern for UD is we've seen a lot of these questionable losses under Anthony Grant, despite that great Coach of the Year season with Obi Toppin.
Yeah, when college basketball gets underway, you do have these type of matchups and everything like that, where you have teams that are trying to figure out who's who and what's what and everything like that, how this team is going to operate with these new pieces and everything like that. Because practicing against yourself is one thing, but going against other competition is a totally different thing, especially like now, last season, there weren't fans in the stands and everything like that. So you have that added element back into college basketball and everything like that. So it's an adjustment period. And when you kick the season or tip the season off, there are big adjustments. In practice, this guy might have been lights out from 3-point land. And then when he gets out there, he's a deer in headlights. So it's an adjustment for him. So, that's what these opening games are for. They're for guys to get adjusted and everything like that. I know we about to start having like the Jimmy V Classics and everything like that. The Battle of Atlantis is coming up and everything like that. So like these are kind of almost like tune-up games for teams and everything like that. So I get what you're saying. Like, it's nothing to be alarmed about, but like when you stack those and you don't get better, that's when you should start to worry. I wouldn't worry now, but like come like middle of December and you're still not looking how you expect it to look, that's when people should start to worry.
Yeah, Wright State at Purdue, 16.5-point underdog tonight. They have one player at 6'9" and Grant Basile, and there's 4 guys 6'10" or taller for Purdue. I'm not throwing out excuses, but let's be real. I'm pro Wright State, you're pro Wright State, but at the end of the day, Kev, it really is one of those things where you and I aren't going to be dumb enough to come on these airwaves and say, Wright State, they have this.
It's in the bag, baby.
It's kind of common sense when, they're not supposed to win these games, right? Like, I know that sounds weird, but like, they're not supposed to. We hope that they do.
Right.
And if they even cut it close, it almost feels like a victory there. Like if they're in it with 10 minutes to go in the second half and they're within 8 points or whatever, we'll be talking about, oh man, they were right there. A few years ago with the Obi Toppin year for the Dayton Flyers, they bragged more about that overtime loss to Kansas than they did about any victory that they had throughout the season. Sometimes these type of opportunities to show that you could hang with the big dogs in college basketball, it's a big opportunity for Wright State tonight. I'm not going to sit there and say, if they get blown out tonight, they're supposed to, but they kind of are. But I do think that tonight, if you just by hanging around with a team like Purdue would speak volumes. I know how well coached they are under Coach Nagy. I know the talent they have on the roster, but it's always fun seeing Wright State go up against these type of teams. They don't do this often. This is actually the toughest schedule that Coach Nagy's had since taking over at Wright State. And he's talked about that before. In fact, 2 years ago, before the pandemic, they were one of only 2 or 3 teams that did not have a Power 5 program on their non-conference schedule. And when talking to him about it, basically, it's like, okay, outside of getting blown out, like there's not a whole lot of learning opportunities in there. Sure, there's a chance you get a win and it can help towards your at-large resume. But let's be honest, Wright State's not an at-large team. I've seen teams win 30 games in conferences like the Horizon and don't even sniff an at-large bid. So I think he's been very smart with the scheduling. This year they have NC State. They do have Purdue. They just played Marshall, not a Power 5, but I mean a very tough non-conference schedule. They have George Washington coming up out of the A-10 in one of the invitationals around the corner. So they got a challenging schedule tonight, though, Kev. Do they? It's 16.5-point dog. Are they finishing under? Are they going to make it closer than that?
It'll be close, and I think by the 10-minute mark, I think Purdue will pull ahead and then end up covering. How many threes does Wright State need to hit to be within 10 under 5 minutes to go?
That's how these upsets happen. Got
to hit the 3-ball, dog. Got to hit it.
Yeah, like I posted on the Facebook page earlier today. I said Purdue has 4 guys 6'10" or taller. Wright State has 1 guy at 6'9". If there's ever a night to get hot from 3, tonight's that night. So hopefully they can get hot tonight because that's their only shot. But playing at Mackey, that's a tough atmosphere nonetheless. I'm looking forward to it. Anytime you get to see Wright State go up against those bigger brands like that, it's a brand-building opportunity, and that's what they're trying to do. So UD will be back in action tomorrow night. We'll talk about that later on. But, yes, that was my Flyer comment for the day that, no, I'm not going to bury them for losing to UMass Lowell over the weekend. If you're going to struggle early. Ohio State had to hang on for dear life to beat Akron. Okay, they had to pull away late to win only by 10 against Niagara. And I thought last night, I'm like, man, if they start the season 3 straight games against subpar competition and need the full 40 minutes to do it, something's wrong. And they're heading into the Xaviers and the Dukes of the world, and that's where they're going to get exposed. But last night made me feel confident that Chris Holtman has this team playing the way they're supposed to now, a couple games under their belt. And I expect the same thing with UD moving forward as well. And we'll talk more about that later. But again, Wright State, Purdue, 7 o'clock to tip off tonight. And that'll be on the Big 10 Network. 518-1410. Kev, you said we had Shaw on hold, correct?
Yes, sir.
What up, Shaw? Welcome, man.
How you guys doing?
Good.
I was just one first question. What happened to the show on Thursday and Friday?
We were off.
You guys were on?
I said we were off.
Huh.
I may or may not have been suspended.
UD comment?
I may or may not have been suspended.
I got you. You just brought up something that kind of changed my course of the call for a minute. I
know you called about when we were talking about Michigan and stuff. You definitely get that point in, but yeah, go wherever you need.
What you just brought up about UD, I actually think you're trying to be too nice to UD. That loss.
You guys are really running out of stuff to complain about me, man. I'm just.
No, I'm not complaining about it. I mean, I think that loss may keep them out. I mean, if they go 500 or just a little bit better in the A10, that loss may keep them out. I know it's early and there's plenty of time to get things changed around, but mid-major teams can't lose games like that. And we all know how the bracketology works and yada, yada, yada. But anyhow,
I think the thing that for me, Shaw, I think because you're talking about that's it. That could have kept him out. I agree. I just don't look at UD as an at-large team this year. I never bought into them being an at-large team because of a lot of the reasons that people are using of why they lost to UMass Lowell. I'm like, that's not a good excuse to lose to UMass Lowell. That's a good excuse why you won't make the tournament as an at-large team. But you still shouldn't lose to UMass Lowell. But it was second game of the season. I'm more willing to be forgiving for that than if we would have gotten to December and losing to UMass Lowell. I think that's more concerning.
Yeah,
but I know I'm a UD homer. I can't help myself.
But anyways, on to the main topic of why I called. Like I said in my Facebook on the Facebook feed, I don't really think you guys have anything to worry about the next 2 weeks. Yes, Walker is a very good back. There's no denying that, but I'd like to tell you a little bit about that Michigan game. 108 of his 197 yards came on 3 carries. The other 20 carries held him to 4 yards per carry. My point, you keep him from hitting the big shot. He's an average everyday back. What makes him over the top is he can take those runs that are supposed to be -2 yards, no yard gain, and pop it and take it to the house. You keep him contained and you tackle him, I don't see any reason at all that Michigan State should even scare you at all. But, I mean, I get it. Top 10 game, yeah, on paper anyways, blah, blah, blah. I'm sure you can tell in my voice. I just 30 to 14. I'm going to leave it at that. On to my team. Everything you guys do well on offense, Michigan struggles against defensively. Their only hope, and almost exactly like 2016 through 2018, Michigan's only hope is if the front four get pressure on Stroud. That's the only hope. The secondary is entirely too weak. Yes, it's a different defense, but the secondary is entirely too young, too weak to hang with this wide receiver core, and I think they're going to eat their lunch, and I think it's over by halftime, if you want my honest opinion.
But, I mean, Michigan, real quick on Kenneth Walker III, I mean, it's a lot easier said than done. I mean, the dude is over 1,400 yards rushing with 17 touchdowns. Like, I think he's only had, one game that he hasn't had a breakout run. So, to say, oh, man, this is all you got to do. Like, I'm sure all the other 10 opponents they've played against have tried the same thing that Ohio State's going to attempt to do to try to contain them. And I think it was Miami was the only game that he didn't have a breakout 50-yard run, everything like that. So yeah, I'm not going to overlook it. I'm pretty sure the defensive coaching staff up at Ohio State's not going to overlook it. They're going to have to do their job and hold him down. As far as Michigan's concerned on defense, you got 2 dudes on the defensive line, the 2 edge dudes who probably going to be first-round picks.
That I agree with, but if your tackles hold them in check, then what?
I mean, I hope so. Let's not get it twisted. I hope we hold you in check. That is definitely the goal.
I mean, of course I don't, but I mean, I'm just trying to be realistic with the fact that, you guys – this is what I see happening. You guys come out in a formation that you guys haven't shown all year, aka you'll come out in 2 tight ends. You'll have a tight end on Hutchinson's side, you'll have a tight end on Ajabo side. They're going to get checked every single time. Look at what trying to remember who just played Cleveland, who just beat the crap out of Cleveland. I can't remember.
Patriots.
Patriots. Yeah. Look at what New England did to Garrett. That's exactly what they're going to do to Hutchinson. That's exactly what they're going to do to Ajabo. There's going to be a lot of screens. There's going to be a lot of tight end outs. There's going to be a lot of crossing routes over the middle, as you guys always do to us.
Looks like we got it won, Kenner.
In my eyes, it hasn't changed. I mean, since week 2, I was telling you guys this.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right. I'm not going to sit here and lie.
I wasn't. I wish I wasn't. I mean, what? I mean, and then you guys then flip it to the other side when we have the ball.
Sean, we got 30 seconds.
You guys flip it to the other side when we have the ball. You're telling me that defense can't stop our weak blank offense? Come on now. Come on now.
You should be
guys have a
Take care, man. As far as that, the only reason, look, Ohio State's defense, I don't have any faith in it. Like, I know Shaw doesn't have any faith in his team's offense or Michigan State's offense, but Michigan State's running back is why they'll have a shot, why it's going to be closer. Like, it's a 16-point line or whatever it was. I said it was 19. My goodness. If that's why I can't sit there I'm not going to take Ohio State in the over. I believe that they will. I don't think Ohio State covers against Michigan State. And I think it's going to be more so about what Michigan State does offensively than what they do defensively. Ohio State, they're going to get theirs. But I think the running back with Walker at Michigan State, they're going to get theirs as well. As far as Michigan, I think they have a little bit more of a balanced attack against Ohio State's defense. They're going to take care of business in the flats a little bit. That's really where Ohio State's going to struggle. If Michigan State or Michigan have a shot, it's going to have to be their best offensive performance of the season. You're not going to stop Ohio State's defense. It's really going to come down to, can you capitalize on Ohio State's weak defense? And that's why you have to have these games circled the next 2 weeks. Is maybe not games I'm losing sleep over, but I think that you catch these teams on the right day, it may not be the outcome we like. But Ohio State, obviously, the more talented of the three teams, that's for sure.
So here it is. It's the over-under total points scored is 67, and Ohio State is favored by 19 points.
Yeah, I think Ohio State wins. I'll take Ohio State, but I don't think they cover.
Yeah, I don't think they cover either.
Yeah. All right. I know we have Ed and Brian and a couple other guys on hold. Ed, we'll kick things off with you on the other side. The phone lines, I just got a couple notes that we're not answering the phones. We can't answer the phones during the segment, during the commercial break. We'll be glad to get your spot in line. Give Kev a call back in the studio, 518-1410, 518-1410. We'll be back in just a moment.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
5G is here, but the big carriers want you to sign a pricey long-term contract to get in on the action. Well, no more, because Straight Talk Wireless has rolled out 5G coverage nationwide, with plans starting at just $35 a month with no contract. And get a Samsung Galaxy A32 5G for only $299, all on America's best networks. 5G coverage, 5G phones, less money. Straight Talk Wireless, no contract, no compromise. 5G capable device required, actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
Lowe's Provember event is back. In celebration of pros, we're offering special values on top tools to get any job done right. Head into Lowe's and check out the largest selection of DeWalt power tools and accessories. Right now, you can get a guaranteed tough DeWalt 20-volt max bear tool free when you buy a DeWalt 20-volt max drill or impact driver kit. Shop in-store or order online. Lowe's, the new home for pros. Valid through 1/5 while supplies last. Selection varies by location. U.S. only.
From city streets to back roads, from road warrior to carpooler, there are some things you can always count on, like the reliability, durability, and power of DieHard, America's most trusted auto battery. No matter where your journey takes you, count on DieHard to get you started on the road ahead. Available at your local Advance Auto Parts and participating CarQuest stores.
Hey Buckeye fans, as the official wing sponsor of your Ohio State Buckeyes, Roosters is giving away 12 trips for two to this year's Buckeye Bowl game. Each trip comes complete with airfare, hotel, gift bag, and 2 tickets to the big game. One bowl prize winner will be chosen each week, along with other cool Roosters weekly prizes. So register every week at roosterswings.com. Roosters, a fun casual joint, and the official wing sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. Official contest rules at roosterswings.com.
Mow like a pro with Hustler Turf zero-turn mowers. They engineer their mowers to be maintenance and service friendly for the everyday homeowner, while not sacrificing the build and cut quality they're known for. From the heavy-duty frame to the welded steel deck to their trademark smooth track steering, Hustler Turf zero-turn mowers deliver professional grade cut quality for a perfectly manicured lawn. Come in to Small Engine Service Pros to see the Hustler difference for yourself today. Small Engine Service Pros, 2030 North Dayton Lakeview Road, Route 235 in New Carlisle.
You have empty office space to fill or home office to create. You know what you need. You know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places what you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer's selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really, desks from $50 to $5,000. Filing cabinets from $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. With 25,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Larrick's Warehouse Outlet at 23 McOil Avenue, Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Larrick's, continuing the tradition.
It's Menards' last 11% rebate sale of 2021. We have the largest in-stock appliance selection to take home today at the lowest prices. Choose from our great selection of top brands like Whirlpool, KitchenAid, Amana, Maytag, and Criterion. Right now, all appliances are 11% off. Menards' last 11% rebate sale of 2021 is good through Wednesday, November 24th. Savings are mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Hi, welcome to Furniture Depot. And you, come on in.
Couches are flying off the floor at Cheyenne's Furniture Store.
Sarah, can you go over to dining sets, please?
She needs more sales associates before shoppers take their seats elsewhere.
Can somebody get me a price check on trundle beds?
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Instant Match instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Big news from Simply Safe Home Security. Okay. Actually, I think the horns are too much. Yeah, that's better. Big news. The new wireless outdoor security camera is here. Yes, Simply Safe's award-winning home security just got even better, taking whole home protection to a whole new level. Okay, I'm missing the horns. Simply Safe is celebrating this new camera with 50% off a new system this week. Visit simplysafe.com.
Attention Class A CDL drivers. Looking to be more than just a number? Yoel Transportation in Dayton is looking for drivers with at least 1.5 years experience. Yoel has open positions for no-tarp flatbed drivers and no-touch regional or local van drivers. Yoel is ELD compliant and offers 401k with match, medical, dental, vision, holiday pay, vacation, safety bonuses, and now has a rider policy. Call Rick or Joe at 937-294-5933 and ask about the $5,000 sign-on bonus today.
Call It Propane has been serving the Buckeye Nation in the Miami Valley for over 65 years.
Let our family help protect your family from old man winter. Find out why 98% of our customers would recommend us to friends and family. Ask about the service options at 937-372-9194.
Family owned and operated for 3 generations, Call It Propane and Call It Seal Coating are proud to serve the Buckeye Nation.
Mucinex DM's bilayer tablet allows for immediate and extended release, relieving both wet and dry coughs and loosening chest congestion for 12 long hours. Grab Mucinex DM, available at Walgreens.
Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street are huge supporters of the Dayton Flyers. Whether you're one of the 13,000 fans cheering on the Flyers at UD Arena or one of the hundreds of fans packed inside Tim's on game day, there is only 2 places that you can feel the passion of the Flyer faithful more than anywhere else. Timothy's Bar and Grill is also a sponsor of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash in the afternoons and the Talking Out Loud Hour on Thursday nights with Sully. Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street. Go Flyers.
Well, I started my own restaurant because I love to cook, but that also means a lot of greasy pots and pans. And we can't waste time with endless sink changeovers. So we upgraded to Dawn Professional Pot and Pan.
Dawn Professional cleans 58% more pots and pans per sink than the leading competitor.
Less dish soap, fewer changeovers, and more time doing what we love.
Dawn Professional. It's clean. Upgraded. From P&G Professional.
You know a spot, but not just a spot, the spot. Actually, with the all-new Nissan Frontier, you know a bunch of them. But the key to these great spots? Being able to reach them in the first place. Your spot is out there. Find your frontier in the all-new 2022 Nissan Frontier with standard 310 horsepower, advanced tech, and 281 pound-foot of torque.
There's confusion about how to protect yourself from COVID. One thing is certain, whether you're vaccinated or not, you need an accurate thermometer to check for fever, the leading sign of flu and COVID. Be vigilant and contact your medical provider at the first sign of fever. Don't rely on non-contact thermometers that have no scientific studies. Only the Exergen temporal scanner thermometer has been proven accurate in more than 100 clinical studies. Learn more at exergen.com.
When getting the job done right is job one, you need construction equipment that's built right. From compact track loaders to the world's #1 selling compact excavator, the Kubota construction lineup features durable Kubota engines, more comfort, and the versatility to do it all and do it right. Visit your local Kubota dealer today. Go to KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
See Columbus Equipment Company, 7570 New Carlisle Pike in Dayton.
Hi, I'm Sales Manager Jason High at Germain Honda Beaver Creek, proud recipient of the prestigious President's Award. We are your local Honda dealer, and we invite you to see our newly renovated state-of-the-art facility. You'll be amazed at our selection, and remember, all new Hondas come with a lifetime powertrain warranty. Visit us at Route 35, just east of 675, conveniently located near Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Germain Honda Beaver Creek, the right car, the right price, the right way. I'll see you soon.
If you're hiring, you need Indeed. Indeed helps you attract, screen, and interview quality candidates all in one place. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
WING 1410 Dayton. Dayton's ESPN Radio. We're live. We're local.
What are you gonna miss? He struck him out.
We're Dayton's ESPN radio station. Let's send it to the WING studios for Dayton's only local sports talk show. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
All right, hour two, off and rolling here on a Tuesday. ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz will join us coming up here at 4:30, so just under a half hour from now, we'll be joined by him. We'll, of course, talk and preview tonight's reveal of the college football playoff rankings. I think this is going to be the least anticlimactic of all of them so far. I think we have a pretty good idea of everyone who's going to be falling in. Bearcats just have to sit there and wait. A lot of teams, Oklahoma going down over the weekend definitely kind of helps them, as that's one less conference to worry about, although you could still look at Oklahoma State and others as possibly having a shot. Kev, you want to know the team that's surprising me that keeps popping up on these lists of teams that have a higher percent chance of making the playoffs than Cincinnati? Notre Dame. And you know me over the years. Before I even thought about becoming a Bearcat hater, I've been a Notre Dame hater.
Right.
Don't play in a conference. I'll take the Bearcats over them any day, mainly because of the fact that, they've beaten them.
Yeah.
At Notre Dame. But it amazes me when I see like the ESPN power index of the highest percent chance to make the playoff that Notre Dame is well ahead of Cincinnati. And I just can't process that. I know it comes down to strength of schedule and all that, but my goodness, that doesn't make any damn sense.
At all. Like that would be a blow up the system situation. Like we can make arguments for a ton of teams out there, and we can come up with a million scenarios about X, Y, and Z happening. If the scenario came down to the committee really picking Notre Dame over UC, and just say Notre Dame got the 4th spot and UC was left out on the outside looking in, undefeated at number 5, the whole system should be shut down. Like that, and I think everybody could agree with that outside of people that root for Notre Dame, right? I mean, like, come on, man. Like that would be totally wrong. Like we can make excuses about this team beat that team and this team and that. No, they're undefeated and beat them at their place, and Notre Dame gets in ahead of them. That would push people over the edge.
Justin Kinner, Kev Nash, hour 2
We'll get into more of that with Jason Fitz coming up. All right, so here's the thing. I want to talk about the AFC North, Kev. The Cleveland Browns, we spent a lot of time on them yesterday. Like I said yesterday, I'm not making any excuses for the Browns. That was a dumpster fire on Sunday, and I just can't get a good feel for who this team is right now. And I would be more alarmed, Kev, if we are sitting here and we still can't figure out who the other teams are either, though. I look at the AFC North and I see a conference, or I see a division right now that's still trying to figure themselves out, even 10 games into the season. Baltimore leading the division at 6-3, Pittsburgh 5-3-1, and then the Bengals at 5-4 coming off a bye week, and the Browns losing to the Patriots over the weekend put them at 5-5. You have the Ravens, who've dropped 2 of their last 3. They got beat down by the Cincinnati Bengals. They got blown out by a bad Dolphins team. You have the Pittsburgh Steelers, who we've been waiting for their lack of talent and their aged quarterback to catch up with them, but they just keep winning, or at least keep staying in the way. They're 5-3-1. I know that they're not a threat to a lot of teams, but they keep putting points in that win category. They keep putting a tally in that win category, and that's really what's getting in the way of the Browns and Bengals. The Bengals go from the king of the mountain. They were the 1 seed in the playoffs if the playoffs would have started 3 weeks ago. And then they follow it up by getting beat down by the damn Jets and the Cleveland Browns. And then the Browns follow up their biggest win of the season. Everyone finally saying it was OBJ. It was officially him. It was obvious. They beat down the Bengals. And then they follow it up with not just a loss, but the loss of the season that has everybody scratching their heads saying, who in the hell are the Cleveland Browns? Every team is limping right now, Kev. Every team is reeling. Which team in the AFC North should feel the most confident about themselves heading into the final 7 weeks of the season?
I'm going to say the Ravens, because they got the best quarterback. I think Lamar Jackson is the best quarterback in the division, and I think they should feel more secure than anybody else out there. Everything that's going on with the team that I follow, the Pittsburgh Steelers, a ton of injuries on defense, a ton of COVID issues now going on with Big Ben and Minka Fitzpatrick. TJ Watt's dealing with a hip and a knee. He's probable for this week. Chase Claypool is out. So they're dealing with a ton of injuries and everything like that from productive guys. So I think that officially nixes them. Then you look at the Cincinnati Bengals. Obviously, they had a hard time handling being the lead topic on SportsCenter in a positive light with that big win versus the Ravens, and they followed up with a disappointing loss to the Jets. Everybody brushed it off and say, hey, man, it's the NFL. Teams jump up and bite teams left and right. It's all good. You get back on a situation with the Cleveland Browns, and then you get blown out by the Cleveland Browns. You don't just lose, you get blown out by the Cleveland Browns. So it's a young team with a young head coach still trying to figure out how to handle prosperity and handle winning. Then you look at the Cleveland Browns situation. 1 week, it's the offense is the reason they lose. Then the next week, it's the defense why they lose. It's just so many different moving parts going on with the Cleveland Browns. You don't have something that hang your hat on. Like with the Pittsburgh Steelers, like, all right, look, we're going to hang our hat on defense, and hopefully we can score at least 2 touchdowns, and maybe the defense can set us up in good field position and get a field goal, and we can win it late. With the Ravens, like, hey, man, we got Lamar. He'll make something happen. He'll pull something out of his hat, and then we'll set everything up for Justin Tucker to hit a 70-yard field goal for us to win it. With the Bengals, hey, man, we gonna air it out, and hopefully we can win. And, you know, our defense, we spend a lot of money on. Maybe these guys can make plays. With the Cleveland Browns, you have absolutely no idea what you're going to get from week to week with the offense or the defense. So I would say, like, they're in the worst position because they don't have anything to hang their hat on currently.
518-1410, 518-1410. Give us a call if you want to jump in. I'm curious people's thoughts. Like, all 4 AFC North teams are reeling right now. Which team should feel the most confident about themselves moving forward? I guess the team that I'm going to say right now is the Cincinnati Bengals. Kev, they're the healthiest. They're the healthiest. And they're the healthiest, and they are a team that all of their main core guys are still intact. You have Joe Burrow, you have Jamar Chase, you have Joe Mixon. And to me, they have the most explosive firepower of all the teams. There you go. You know me. I'm a big UD homer and a big Bengals homer, you know. To me, the Bengals should be the team that feels the best about themselves moving forward. Because even that bad loss to the Jets, that was a bad defensive performance. That offense still, they play 5 more times, straight times. The Bengals are winning that. The Browns loss, every single team has been blown out this year.
Yeah.
Every single team. The Chargers, the Chiefs. All right. We just saw the Rams last night. All right, we watched the Cowboys get dismantled by the Broncos just last week, and they're a top contending team. We just saw the Bucs get beat down by Washington. So I'm going to give the Bengals the benefit of the doubt. The only team that has looked the most consistent from the beginning to end, as far as, I mean, the Steelers have been semi-consistent, but I mean, like the Bengals have actually looked the part more than anyone else. The Bengals have looked the part more than the Browns this year. The Bengals have looked the part more than the Steelers, more than even the Ravens, and they beat down the Ravens. So to me, coming off of the bye, you still have your quarterback that everyone believes is one of the top ascending quarterbacks in the NFL. You still have him. You have a healthy Jamar Chase. You still have T. Higgins and Boyd. That offensive line is improved from a year ago. It's not great. He's still the fourth most sacked quarterback in the NFL, so they haven't fixed that issue yet. But Patrick Mahomes is right up there. A lot of quarterbacks are getting sacked a lot this year that are still having success. So that's not going to be an excuse as far as I'm concerned. They have the most explosive offense as far as potential, more so than the Browns, because you don't have OBJ anymore. Jarvis Landry's taken a step back. Donovan Peoples-Jones, we thought was going to be that number one replacement for OBJ. And then after last week's performance, I have no clue who the hell Donovan Peoples-Jones is. I know what he's capable of. Still don't know who he is. Kev, I agree with you. The Browns, we just don't know. When the Browns are on, I'll take the Browns over all the teams in the AFC North. But the problem is it's like a light switch. They just keep flipping it on and off, on and off. At the end of the day, it's really going to come down to the Cincinnati Bengals. I think they have just enough on defense to get to complement the offense. They're the only one that I think complements one another. The Ravens, I don't trust them at all. Lamar Jackson, a lot. People keep talking about Baker Mayfield. So much has to go right for him to succeed. It's the exact same for Lamar Jackson. You could say a lot of things don't go right in Baltimore, and he's the only reason they do succeed. I agree, but at the same time, that defense, one week they look like a top defense. Next week, they're getting beat down by the Bengals. They're getting tore up by the Dolphins. I don't know what to make of them either. So I agree. I know why you're saying Baltimore because of Lamar Jackson, but I have to say Cincinnati because I think they're the most complete team right now, at least from what we've seen 10 weeks into the season.
I can dig that. The only real reason I say the Ravens is because of, like you said, Lamar and Justin Tucker. Like, you have an elite quarterback and you have the best kicker in football. And those two guys, I mean, it's so crazy that we got to talk about a kicker, but like he is the best kicker in football, hands down. Like, we had that 1 week, 2-3 weeks ago, where kickers decided, hey, we're going to miss all the extra points. And then that same week, he hit a 66-yard field goal to win the game. So when you have an elite kicker like that, you're always in the game. Basically, you get past the 50, you might get 3 points. It's crazy. But you're right. The Cincinnati Bengals do have an array of talent and an array of weapons on offense, and when Jackson Carman is on that offensive line, they do play a lot better, and they spent a lot of money on that defense. Now, some of those pieces on that defense still don't play football. They seem to never play football. Trey Waynes, I'm talking to you. So if those guys actually get on the field, then I will feel better if I'm a Cincinnati Bengal fan. But like, you spend a lot of money on this dude and he's never out there, and then they're screaming and pulling their hair out, wondering why Eli Apple is giving up a 50-something yard bomb to Donovan Peoples-Jones. Well, Eli Apple ain't been good since he was at Ohio State, and you pay big money to Trey Waynes, and he's not out there. So like, that's a big point. That's a big, like, dude, he's the mark. Eli Apple is the mark on the team, because Jesse Bates can only do so much, especially if you're going up against a team like the Cleveland Browns, where Jesse Bates is really responsible for the tight end. So if you watch that play again, it's the tight end is coming across the middle and Njoku's coming across the middle. So Jesse Bates does what he's supposed to do, try to take away the tight end, and then you leave Eli Apple one-on-one with Donovan Peoples-Jones, and he gets toasted. So every team out there knows the book on Eli Apple. It happened with the New York Giants. It happened with the Saints. And now it's happening with the Bengals. They got to get Trey Waynes on that field, because if not, he's going to get attacked all the time.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, the Ravens, I don't think that's a wrong answer. I just think that because they're coming off of back-to-back losses, I mean, not just losing to the Bengals, but getting beat down and then losing to the Dolphins. That's why I can't put them in my team that feels the best. And I know the Bengals are coming off of a blowout loss. If they would have been blown out by the Jets too, I would have definitely said, okay, it has to be the Ravens. But I think that the Bengals have had one bad game. They've only had one bad game this year. Their defense had a bad game against the Jets. The team had a bad game against the Browns, like collectively. The defense tried to outstink the offense, and the offense tried to outstink the defense. If I see one more performance from Joe Burrow, like I did against the Browns, like what we saw him do against the Bears, like what we've seen him do in crunch time against teams like the Packers and the Jets, I'm done. You will not convince me he's an elite quarterback. I will not even entertain it. Yesterday, I was willing to say that maybe I'm wrong about Baker Mayfield. I'm not ready to say I'm completely wrong, but I'm starting to lean towards, okay, I think I might have got this wrong. Joe Burrow, I will not let you guys accept that because I've seen way too many bad games. You guys are living in the clouds with all his good games. You guys are totally ignoring his flaws. He leads the league in interceptions. He makes a lot of bad throws. A lot of the big throws he's made to Jamar Chase has made the bad throws look like good throws because he leaps up and gets them. Or he'll take a short pass and, ping off a couple defenders and sprint up the sideline. The Bengals have to flip that switch. You're coming off the bye week. You got a couple bad performances out of you. The only team that should feel good about themselves heading into week 11 is the Cincinnati Bengals because they had that week off. They had 2 weeks to work on things. And they're heading to, they're playing the Raiders. That's a beatable team. They have a lot of work to do. They have not a lot of work. Yes, they have a lot of work to do, but they, to me, I feel like have the most complete team because they're the healthiest. The Browns, if they were healthy, if their whole offensive line was healthy, if they had Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, if they had all of that, even if Baker was the only one beat up, I'm all about the Browns. I'm going to say that the Browns should feel the best about their chances the final 7. I cannot do that, though, with as shaky as they've been. And that performance was so bad, I'm angry at them. They made me look bad, and I don't like looking bad. I make myself look bad all on my own. Look at this hair. You got these weird little curly things happening. It's a mess. I'm short. I can't get taller. I've stopped losing weight for whatever reason. I can't lose anymore. There's so many things I can do to make me look bad. I don't need the damn Cleveland Browns' help. So I'm mad at them for helping me look bad, and that's why I can't forgive them for what they did this past Sunday, Kev. But I got to go with the Bengals, and you know me. Big Bengals fan.
So my question for you with the Bengals is they're currently 5-4. Next 4 games at the Raiders, and then 3 straight home games versus the Steelers, Chargers, and Niners. What's their record after these next 4 games?
You said Steelers, Chargers, and 49ers, huh?
All at home after they go out to Vegas.
And by the way, I appreciate that, Schrody. Schrody says you can get taller. You just got to believe in yourself. The crazy thing, you're not beating the Steelers twice.
Oh,
when's Big Ben back?
If he tests negative twice before Sunday.
You know what? They can beat the Steelers twice because what the Bengals did, they took care of business at Pittsburgh and at Baltimore. That's huge because they got the return games in the second half of the season and a playoff push. I think that's huge.
Right.
I think they beat the Raiders. What's the line on that? Are they favorites?
Give me 1 second.
Oh, good. Regardless of the line, I think I'm going to take the Bengals over the Raiders.
Raiders are a 1-point favorite.
Yeah, I'm taking Cincinnati at the Raiders. What's crazy, some of their best performances, Kev, have been on the road outside of that Jets.
No, my bad. Bengals are a 1-point favorite. Bengals are 1 point.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to take the Bengals over the Raiders. It's in Cincinnati. I'm taking the Bengals over the Steelers, but they're not beating the Chargers, and they're not. So 2-2. They're 2. So they're 5-4 right now. That would put them at 7-6. And see, the Browns, I have them going a lot of win-loss. The Steelers, I don't even know what their schedule looks like. What are you thinking about your next 4 games?
The Steelers, they are out in LA versus the Chargers this week. That's a loss. I actually, if TJ Watt is back, I would love to have him back for the Bengals game since he missed that first game versus the Bengals. So I'll just say he's back and win that game. Let me pull up the rest of their schedule. I don't really know the first.
While you're looking at that, Baltimore has a tough stretch. They're at Chicago this week. Excuse me. Sorry. Then they got 2 of the next 4 games against Cleveland.
Right.
They're at Pittsburgh, and then they're at Cincinnati. They have the Green Bay Packers, and then they have the Rams. Baltimore's in trouble, Kev. Like losing to that Dolphins team, that game, I know they're 6-3, But losing to the Dolphins, that's going to be the one that they look back at and say, oh, crap. Like losing to the Bengals, whatever. Bengals are improved. But they lost to the Dolphins. And if they miss the playoffs by one game, that's going to be the game you go back to and say, yeah, they lost it against the Dolphins. They have a very tough stretch with the Rams, 2 with the Steelers. They have the Bengals again, 2 with the Browns and the Packers. That is not good.
Yeah, it's very backloaded for Lamar and the Ravens. So the Steelers' next 4 are at San Diego, at the Chargers on Sunday Night Football, at the Bengals, home versus the Ravens, and then at Minnesota. If they can come out of there 2-2, I'll be happy. But I don't think so. I think they're coming out.
Repeat that again. What's theirs?
They're at the Chargers, at Bengals, home Ravens, at Vikings in the next 4.
Vikings, maybe. They have a good offense, but, man, they've played some duds. I mean, even the Browns held them to 7 points, and the Browns defense is horrible. Man, that's tough. That's tough. I mean, the Browns schedule coming up, I know they have the Lions this week. They'll be 6-5 after Sunday.
Maybe they'll get a tie like the Steelers did.
What?
Maybe they'll get a tie like the Steelers did.
Well, I was going to say the Steelers didn't have their quarterback, but I'm opening up the door to make fun of the Browns quarterback right now. So they'll go 6-5 against the Lions. And then they'll be 6-6 with the loss at Baltimore. They'll beat Baltimore at home 7-6, 8-6 with the win against the Raiders. 8-7 they'll lose at Green Bay. 9-7 they'll win at Pittsburgh, and then 10. The Browns have a chance to get to 10 wins, and that may not be enough, or it might be a tie. The problem for the Browns in the AFC, they keep losing. They lost to the Chargers. They've lost to the Patriots. They lost to the Chiefs.
Right.
All these AFC opponents that they're going to be in these tie-breaking situations with. Luckily, they got to win against the Bengals, but that loss against the Steelers could be crucial. 2 with Baltimore coming up. These are must-win games coming up for the Cleveland Browns, and the excuse making is I'm over that. They have no more time. They have to figure it out. There's no more excuses.
So minimum 10 wins to make the playoffs for everybody, basically, right?
I went from thinking 12, 13 wins for the division winner. I think it's a 10-win. Like Baltimore, I don't think they have 5 more wins left in them. Not with 2 against Pittsburgh, 2 against Cleveland, the Rams and Green Bay. I don't see where that's coming from.
You don't think they can get 4 more wins? I mean, they're 6-3. They only need 4 more.
I know, but like I said, they got 2 at Pittsburgh. They split that. That's 7 wins. 2 with Cleveland. They split that. That's 8. I'm not picking them over the Rams. I'm not picking them over Green Bay.
I mean, shoot, the way the Rams look, man. We love the personnel on the Rams, especially defensively with Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald. They didn't make any impact plays yesterday. Taylor Rapp didn't make any impact plays yesterday. Former Buckeye Fuller didn't make any impact plays yesterday. They got ran through. By the Niners. And then Deebo Samuels was out here looking like he was playing John Madden football. Like he was lining up in the backfield, lining up in the slot, lining up at Wildcat. Looked like it was high school football out here for him. I had the Rams going to the Super Bowl, but I know they're not looking good right now. I had them very high because all the weapons, but that loss of Woods is starting to show his face. And then I don't know what this is, man. And this is definitely not an OBJ thing, but he shows up and now everybody has the dropsies. They have 5 drop passes last night.
And by the way,
Cooper
it's not
Kupp
just the
drop
offense
passes
that OBJ messes up. He makes good defenses play back, and not against the defenses he's going up against. The Browns defense was atrocious with him there. There's no parallel there whatsoever. There's no overlap. But I'm laughing because the Rams look like the Browns last night. And by the way, I agreed with you. I saw your tweet today. Troy Aikman's an idiot. Anybody that tried to put last night on OBJ, the very first game after 4 days of practice, Kev, we don't agree hardly ever. I give it to you. I agree with you. That was dumb. Even if you noticed last night, I didn't tweet anything either. I did laugh though. There was an interception thrown trying to get him the ball, but whatever. It is what it is.
Stafford
didn't play well last night.
Did he catch that interception off his foot? Was that interception off his foot?
That was an ugly game last night. And I was hate watching, by the way. I'll admit. Whenever they'd go to defense, I changed the channel. I went back to watching other stuff. But when I found out the Rams had the ball back, I was hate watching. I was like, come on, throw it to him. Drop it. Like, that was me the whole time.
He didn't drop it. He caught the 3 passes that was thrown to him, but everybody else had. Cooper Kupp dropped 2 passes. What? He ain't dropped a pass all season. And Monday Night Football, OBJ's in town. I guess he passed the dropsies along to everybody on the team, man. They were dropping passes left and right, and that defense just got torched, man. So, I mean, obviously it's just one game and yada, 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 but I think the Ravens can beat them. I mean, they'll be coming out east to Baltimore in December. No, that's not even in December. That's in January. 4:00 kick in January with the Rams. Like, I think Baltimore can.
Wait, the season's not almost done? Oh, yeah, the regular season goes deep into freaking January now.
Dude,
my goodness.
Ridiculous.
So I think, where is this? Who just said that? So Shaw says that no other team on the Rams schedule will out-physical them like the Niners did last night. The Niners aren't even that good. Like, that's what was crazy about last night.
Nobody saw that coming.
What's that?
I said nobody saw that coming, man. Like, I tuned in because, the hype of OBJ and everything like that. I was like semi-watching. But, like, every time I turned on the game, the Niners had the ball. And Jimmy G looked like his first season with the 49ers.
Yeah. I mean, look, because we've seen the Bucs look so bad. We've seen the Rams look up and down. But when they're on. The Cowboys went from getting blown out by the Broncos to just beating down the Falcons this past weekend. Schrody, I see a chat in the chat section. I got to give it to Schrody's Titans because I've been beaten up on the. You don't want to know who the most consistent team in football's been, Kev?
Titans.
It's actually been the Titans.
Yep.
Like,
did they make your top 5?
What's their bad game? I'm going to pull it up. I'm sure they have one because every team's had a bad game. But what's their bad
they
game?
Lost
and if
to
it was early in the season, I can overlook it. 38-13. They lost week 1 to Cardinals.
No, they lost
to the Jets.
To the Jets. Yeah, that's quote unquote their bad game.
Since that, Kev, look, beat the Bills. They beat the Chiefs. They beat the Colts. They beat the Rams. They beat the Saints. That's a gauntlet of a schedule. Schrody, I'll give it to your Titans. That's the most impressive stretch I've seen from any team in football this year. That's pretty damn good. And if they don't lose to the Jets, like they should have beat the Jets. We're talking about a 1-loss team from a loss all the way back in September.
I mean, they're living golden, man. They're living golden. I mean, you got to think about this.
Well, they don't have their running back. That's the problem.
So he's on the mend. But, I mean, you think for 1 second, if they get they're going to try to get the number 1 seed. So if they get the number 1 seed and they get that bye, because you got to look at who they play in their division. While everybody in the AFC Central is basically got the same record and going to be fighting it out tooth and nail to make it into the playoffs, they're going to be playing the Texans, the Jags, the Colts. You know what I'm saying? While Buffalo and New England fighting it out, while basically everybody in the AFC West has the same record, they'll be fighting it out. We expect the Titans to handle business versus the Texans and the Jaguars. So I think they're going to get the number 1 seed in the AFC. And who's to say that Henry doesn't come back for the playoffs? They didn't say he was out for the season. They say they're broken bone in his foot and he's out indefinitely. Indefinitely doesn't mean like, oh, man, we'll see you next season. That says we put you in a walking boot and we'll see you when we see you. And the way it's looking, 8-2, man. That's a lot. That's a lot of games ahead of everybody else because everybody else
have the number 1. Like, and Schrody's right in the comment. He said they have the easiest schedule. And by the way, you could cue the music because we got Jason Fitz coming up. We're talking about the Tennessee Titans. In fact, we're going to head to Nashville. That's where ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz lives, and he's going to join us coming up in about 5 minutes. But the Titans, I'm sorry, they have the Texans this weekend.
Right.
Their toughest game left is against the Patriots in 2 weeks. And that's assuming that the Patriots can pick up where they left off against Cleveland. They beat Baltimore. Then the next week, we saw Cleveland the Jets were the big team the next week when they turned it around against the Bengals. And then the Browns were the next team. They get rid of OBJ and beat up. And then this past week, it's the Patriots. Every week we have this new hot team. So right now, this looks like a tough game at the Patriots for the Titans. But after that, so you have the Texans, 2 with the Texans. You have the Jaguars, the Dolphins, the Steelers and the Niners.
Man, all
That's
they
an
need to
easy
do,
schedule.
they get 4 wins. That's 4 more wins. That's 12 wins. That's gonna lock up the 1 seed, and then you
In the
get
AFC, absolutely.
And then you get Henry an extra week. He might be back for the playoffs.
By the way, every team in the NFC is within a game of their division. Every team, except the Lions.
Really? Who's it?
Isn't that crazy?
Who is competing with the Cowboys?
Hold up. Let me look at that stat. Damn it, Ken. Are you just throwing stuff out there without fact checking? I mean, I could run for president at this point. My goodness. Hold up. I got to make sure I get this right before we go to Jason Fitz, because, you know, I like to get stuff wrong all the time. But my internet does not work as well at home as what it does at our trusty WING studios. So
the Cowboys are 7-2. Philly is 4-6. The football team is 3-6, and the Giants are 3-6. Green Bay is 8-2. My goodness gracious.
And they've had so many issues.
And that's what I'll be talking about, man. And I think that's what people talk about, where, you know, overcoming things. Like they're overcoming off-season issues with Aaron Rodgers and everything like that with him, and then Devontae Adams being in the last year of his contract and everything like that, and then Aaron Rodgers, more drama with the COVID situation, him missing the game and everything like that. So they had that stinker in week 1 versus Saints, and then you miss Aaron Rodgers versus Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes. That's the second loss, but all the other games they've won. They won in every fashion. They have won an ugly game this week versus the Seahawks. They won a crazy kicking contest or missed kick contest with the Cincinnati Bengals. They've blown teams out. They've went to Arizona with me and you playing wide receiver and won. That's why I always got him in my top 5. And this goes back to what you say about Aaron Rodgers. Why give you anything when you go out there and win with nothing? Like, that's exactly why. And I understand where he's coming from. He's like, well, shoot, if y'all give me something, we could win some rings. And they're like, no, we're good.
Yeah, that's why Baker Mayfield's the best quarterback in the NFL, because he can't do anything without help, and the team knows that, so they keep giving him help. By the way, the correct stat, Kev, every NFC team is within 1 game of the postseason.
Okay.
So my bad on that. I typed the wrong thing in. Every NFC team is within 1 game in the loss column of the postseason, except the Lions, who are 0-8-1.
That good old 1.
All right, guys, we'll be back in a moment. ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz. We'll talk college football playoffs and NFL next.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be mainly clear and sunny, a high near 55. Tonight's going to be mostly cloudy, a low near 50. And tomorrow's going to be mostly cloudy and windy, a high near 70. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Do you have an old sports program, baseball, photo, ticket, or game-used equipment just collecting dust? Sports Investments wants to buy your sports memorabilia. They're also interested in old sports cards and also buying political, aviation, and entertainment items. Bring your collectibles to Sports Investments and get a fair value on the spot. If you decide to sell, they'll pay you immediately. Sports Investments is the largest buyer of memorabilia and cards in the area since 1993. Sports Investments also feature the best selection of autographed memorabilia, sports cards, and other collectible items for sale, including all your favorites like Tiger Woods, LeBron James, Joey Votto, the Bengals, the Browns, the Big Red Machine, UC, XU, UK, NKU, UD, Louisville, Notre Dame, and Ohio State, just to name a few. You'll enjoy the experience of dealing with the Walter family. Call them at 513-891-5000. Email adam@sportsinvestments.com or visit them on Montgomery Road, right off I-275. Just 40 minutes from WING.
All right, we are back. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here. I am coming at you live from my kitchen. Kev's holding down the fort back in the WING studio. Started feeling a little under the weather earlier, I should say later afternoon yesterday, and just decided to play it safe. And, I had some PTSD a little bit. I had flashbacks to March of 2020 when we all went into lockdown. I'm sitting at the same kitchen table, and I'm looking out the window, and I just had this weird feeling. I'm not really not joking. It really took me back a year ago, which seems like ages ago, when we were having to work from home. And, that's just, but it is nice having the flexibility to do this, and we find ways to get it done. If the Cleveland Browns had more Kev Nash, Justin Kinner type qualities, they would find ways to get it done. But, we're not like the Browns. We're like the Titans, baby. Like the Titans. Yeah, so I got that stat wrong. We got it fixed, whatever. But every NFC team is within one game in the loss column of the postseason. The Panthers, Vikings, Niners, Falcons, Eagles. I mean, like, every team is in it. And then you look at the jumbled mess that is the AFC. This has been such a great NFL season, man. It's so entertaining every week. The team that we think is the top team changes. The Bengals they were the king of the mountain just a few weeks ago. They've lost to the Jets and got beat down by the Browns since then. The Browns look to rid themselves of the problem of OBJ. They beat down the Bengals. I thought that they were back. I was talking smack. I was old Kinner again. I was back to my old self. I got humbled on Sunday. They're back down at the bottom now. This has been a crazy year. And then your Steelers had to tie with the Lions. Ugh. Let's talk about that. We have ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz hanging out with us now. Jason, I want your opinion on my opinion on this. That ties should be eliminated from the NFL. That I have no problem with overtime. If you can't score in overtime to break the tie, both teams should get a mark in the loss column. If both teams are tied at the end of overtime, it should be a loss.
That's a hot take. I don't actually. So here's the thing. I prefer the NFL overtime system to college all day, every day. But I don't mind what you're saying there. I would just let them keep playing, frankly. Like, just play until we get a winner. I don't mind any of that. The one thing I hate about the college system, and you guys know how much I cover college football, but it's not really football. I mean, at the end of the day, you're letting 2-point conversions decide a game over and over and over again. Like, you might as well just let the kicker line up and start kicking, 40-yarder and then a 45-yarder, then a 50-yarder, and just make them go back and, do sudden death kicking for all of the emphasis. That's at least a real football play as opposed to a 2-point conversion playoff. So I prefer the NFL system, but I don't know why they end it. I know they don't want the, whatever it was, the Heidi game in the 70s where the game goes 18 overtimes. I get that, but I'd rather have 18 overtimes than one tie. That's for sure.
Yeah, so I've always told that to Kev, that I hate the overtimes in college. I hate the concept of change. Like, you play an entire game under one set of rules, under a set format, and then you get to overtime and you have to totally play a different game to try and win what you worked so hard for the full game to begin with. In baseball, you get a whole additional inning that's the same concept as innings 1 through 9. I know they put the runner on second now. That's a new wrinkle that I'm not a huge fan of. The NBA, you just put the same amount of time back up. Winner determined, whoever leads at the end of that time frame. Football, it drives me nuts. I could not agree with you more. Just put additional time up and play until clock hits 0. Even if teams go touchdown, 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 I'm cool with that.
Yeah, no, I think that would make a ton of sense to me. I mean, I keep thinking back to that Illinois-Penn State game at the college level, where all of a sudden it was just, all right, now we're going to go to this end of the field and run a 2-point conversion. Now we're going to go to this end of the field. And it's like, that just feels so stupid to me. And at the end of the day, are we really I guess they want to say health and safety, but if we care about health and safety, is that the right way to do it? Because you're compacting everybody in and they're crushing each other to try and get 2 yards. I mean, I even hate the fact that they start their drive so close. Like, at least make them start the drive in their own end. I mean, this whole, we're going to basically gift you a score just makes no sense to me in any of it. So I'm all in for once, I don't even really care, frankly. Like, I don't mind sudden death, in the NFL level. I just want a winner at the end of the day. I just want a winner. And I will say, though, it's going to be crazy if the playoffs come down to a stinking tie as opposed to, we've seen that before, like the Colts a couple of years ago. Everybody destroyed Frank Reich, for his approach in overtime. And I kept saying at the time, like, a tie would have been better than a loss, and then we got to the actual time that it came down to fruition, and that was true. So the tie is still better than a loss.
So the Kansas City Chiefs, they won 3 straight. They started clicking on all cylinders versus your Raiders. Are the Kansas City Chiefs back in business?
No, the Raiders are just stupid. I mean, and, at the end of the day, like, Mike Kohler Jr. said it to me the other day. He's like, leave it to the Raiders to decide. They'll be the one team that doesn't do what everybody else has done against Mahomes. So, this whole too high safety, don't let things get behind you approach that everybody's run. The Raiders chose not to do that. They ran their basic cover 3 defense, and they got annihilated for it. The one thing I will say that I think is important, though, that Kansas City did do, is knowing that their offensive line isn't very good, they let the Raiders' defensive line move the line of scrimmage in the pocket And then they just kept dumping the ball right behind him and saying, okay, let's see if your linebackers and safeties can cover our guys on these 5-yard routes. And the answer was a loud, resounding no. So I do think that patience element could help a little bit. But I still think that loss was more about the Raiders being poorly coached and poorly prepared for that game than it was about anything the Chiefs did.
You know, speaking about the Raiders, obviously there's been a ton of off-the-field situations going on with them. But Derek Carr, I've always liked him as a quarterback. He seems like a very loyal guy and a real leader of men and everything like that. Is he going to try to get his way up out of there because of everything that's gone on the last couple weeks with the Raiders? And to be honest, like before that, like I think if he gets on, like, you know, for say the Cleveland Browns first, like I think they would be locked to go to the Super Bowl if they got a quarterback like the caliber of a Derek Carr. I know other people don't think of him as high as I do, but I think he's a real good quarterback.
I think he's a Super Bowl caliber quarterback on a good team, no doubt. Like, I'm not saying that he's a Aaron Rodgers, make everybody around you a superstar, but look no farther than Nelson Aguilar. Like, Nelson Aguilar got paid because of his year with Derek Carr, and like it wasn't Aguilar that made Carr; it was Carr doing the opposite. I think he's great. The one thing that a lot of people don't realize about Carr, though, he is particularly a man of faith. And you know, there was an article written in his rookie year about the fact that in his rookie year he considered walking away from football to go to ministry, and so a lot of people were surprised to hear that. I've talked to a couple of people I trust within the organization. They believe what he said earlier this year. If the Raiders and Carr move on from each other, it's because Carr will choose to walk away. He has no interest in going to other teams and trying to figure out the NFL life somewhere else. So I think Carr is going to be – I think the Raiders are going to reward him with a big, fat contract this year. But if they don't, I can see him walking away before I see him going to another team. And frankly, they should reward him with a big, fat contract, because if there's anything they've learned, it's not every person can handle wealth in Vegas, right? And you know Derek Carr can. So go give him that $100 million deal that he's earning, and then, you know that you're not going to have to worry about his nightlife.
Right.
ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz with us here. Kinner and Kev on 1410 ESPN Radio. Kev and I talked about this earlier in the hour. You know, the AFC North, it's a very weird division. Can't figure it out. We know there's a lot of talented teams in there, and the most consistent has been the team that we thought would be at the bottom in the Pittsburgh Steelers. I know they're coming off that tie with the Lions, but the AFC North is real, and the Ravens have dropped 2 of their last 3. They got beat down pretty well by the Lions, or by the Dolphins. They got beat up by the Bengals a while back. The Bengals have lost 2 straight against the Jets and got beat down by the Browns. The Browns, we thought that they figured it out, and then they had that horrendous performance against the Patriots, and the Steelers coming off that tie with the Lions. Of all the AFC North teams, Jason, which team should feel the best about themselves heading into Week 11? I said the Bengals, which shocks some people, but I said that the Bengals because I think they're the most healthy on both sides of the ball. They have all of their main weapons that got them to this point of the season. I think that the Bengals are most equipped to head into the back half of this season with more confidence despite losing 2 straight. Everyone's struggling in that division. Do you agree? Which team should feel the most confident about themselves heading into the final stretch?
No, I think it is Cincinnati. And, I think this matchup against the Raiders on Sunday is huge for both teams, because both teams are watching their seasons essentially go in the toilet. This is a season-saving opportunity for both teams. But when you start talking about health, I mean, the Browns built an entire offense on their ability to run the football, and now everybody they've got that runs football is hurt. So I just have a hard time figuring out how to rely on the Browns moving forward. I feel like the Steelers, realistically, like, Ben's not good, and I don't care that they've been able to win some games. But Ben's not good, and at the end of the day, that's going to cost them a game at some point. They are going to lose football games because of it. So I don't rely on them. The best team is the Ravens, but they are the least healthy of all of them. So I don't really think that there's a lot of noise to be made out of this division that I would trust through the back half of the season, unless you're talking about a healthy Bengals team that, has the benefit of being young and hungry and doesn't really care about what the past is for this. Like, we talk so much about, Cincinnati. Like, what does that matter to Jamar Chase? What does that matter to Joe Burrow? It doesn't. Like, you got a bunch of young kids that have come in that understand winning culture that don't really feel any of the organizational pressure that fans and people like you and me feel. Like, I think that the Bengals are have a real chance to make a statement about who they're going to be for the next several years in the back half of the season. They're ahead of schedule. I think they're going to play well.
Jason, earlier in the week, I talked about Andy Dalton with the Bengals back in the day when they had their 5 straight playoff run. Bengals fans, there was a lot of people split. Some people didn't like him. A lot of Bengals fans loved him. He got booed when the Reds hosted the All-Star game. And Andy Dalton played in the Celebrity All-Star softball game. He got booed by his own fans. I mean, it was the strangest thing. But Andy Dalton was fascinating because I always thought that he was just good enough to make the front office question whether they should move on from him or not. He did just enough. He won them just enough games for them to feel uneasy about moving on from him because it's so tough to find a quarterback in the NFL. It's tough to even find an Andy Dalton in the NFL. And I feel like, I'm not really comparing the style of play here, but the situation occurs in Cleveland right now where Baker is just good enough. Like, you can win games with him. You can make the playoffs with him. You know that he does more right than he does wrong, but what he does wrong is what the bigger problem is. But do you see the parallel there with the comparison between Baker and Andy Dalton, where the Browns are at this crossroads where they want to extend them because they waited 20 years to even find a Baker Mayfield. But at the same time, he's not the finished product that he needs to be for them to go where they want to go. How conflicted do you think that front office is right now? Because I feel like it's not as simple as, he wants this money, we just let him go. They waited forever to find a quarterback that they could even win with. They have that. And now we're saying, he's just not the elite of the elite. I've never said he's elite, but I do think he has what it takes to win in Cleveland. It's just going to come down to how much they're willing to pay him. But do you see that parallel of Baker Mayfield to Andy Dalton?
1,000%. And frankly, guys, if I worked for the Browns, I'd give him a contract. I wouldn't want to make him the highest paid quarterback in the league if I could avoid it. But we also have to be real. Like, everything you just said, like, everybody says, well, go in the draft and get you a quarterback. Okay. How did that work for everybody this year? I mean, I know we're talking about Mac Jones, and Mac Jones is fine, but Trevor Lawrence was supposed to be you can't miss with Trevor Lawrence, right? And Trevor Lawrence has not played particularly. I know it's early, it's Jacksonville, but Trevor Lawrence hasn't instilled faith. You look back at the tweet that Field Yates sent before the draft last year, that between 2009 and 2000, not a single quarterback drafted in that era was still with their team. The first-round quarterback was still with their team by this offseason. So this whole concept of go to the draft and find a quarterback pretends like most teams can do that. Most teams can't. Like, if you have an okay quarterback, then put what you need around him to win games, because realistically, there is no sure thing. Ask the Rams about a sure thing roster construction to win a Super Bowl, because right now, that doesn't look very sure either, right? Like, at the end of the day, all you can do is put good enough at every position, put you in a chance to be really successful, and then hope that the cards break right the year that you're really good. And for the Browns, is Baker Mayfield a life-changing quarterback? No. But are you willing to go back into there, presuming that you're going to get that life-changing quarterback, which likely also usually comes with some sort of coaching change and a GM change, and everything philosophically changes? Like, are you willing to hit that revolving door? Because you don't know if you're going to get a great quarterback out of that, or if you're going to get Jamarcus Russell. And realistically, that's real. Like, and when you've lived, and you're 1,000% right too, like, when you've lived through years of bad quarterbacks, mediocre quarterback play is something you shouldn't take for granted. Like, just being an above average quarterback, you can look at it and say, okay, the question isn't, is this guy better than Aaron Rodgers? The question is this guy good enough to win Super Bowls? Which means, is this guy with the right roster around him good enough to be who Joe Flacco was, or who Trent Dilfer was? Because we forget that Eli Manning, like, we've got these guys that were pretty good quarterbacks at that time in that year that won Super Bowls. That's all you need.
Oklahoma loses to Baylor, they chant SEC. Texas loses at home to Kansas, they chant SEC. React.
I mean, this is the ultimate trolling, right? Like, this is the ultimate trolling from two teams that, like, let's not get it twisted. They're going to the SEC because they make a lot of money, not because they're particularly good football programs. I mean, Cincinnati, if I were the SEC and I could pick one based on who I think is a good football program, I'd take Cincinnati over Texas at this point. But Texas makes a ton of money, and Texas pays out a ton of money. Texas gets a ton of eyeballs. So the trolling's not going to stop. And Oklahoma, all they did was do exactly what we thought they would. Like, I called the Baylor upset, and not because I'm brilliant, but because if you watched any of the Oklahoma offense this year, it's been bad. Lincoln Riley, every year we're like, oh, Lincoln Riley is the guy. He's going to get some huge job. Okay, well, this year's the first year he didn't have a great quarterback, and his offense looked incapable at times. So Caleb Williams needed a miracle play to beat Kansas not too long ago for Oklahoma, right? And so I keep looking at Oklahoma saying, wow, this is, and now you look over at Texas and think, well, at least in Oklahoma, you can say there's proof of concept recently at Texas. They paid Sark a bunch of money for what? So, I think there's real question marks for both of these teams moving forward. And the Big 12 has got to be laughing at the fact that those are the two that are headed out. It's going to cost them a ton of money and a ton of profile. But realistically, there's at the end of the day, this trolling is deserved because both of those teams have stunk.
Jason, we'll send you out with this. I don't think any other program has had a string where 3 straight coaches come in and win a national championship. Nick Saban won a title at LSU. Wes Miles won a title at LSU, and then obviously at Orion. And when people talk about how good of a job is it, I think that speaks volumes about the opportunity to win a national title there. And you hear a lot of people say, well, this should be a destination job for a lot of big-name coaches out there, Lincoln Riley or what have you. I've yet to hear Ryan Day's name be popped up in that. How many coaches out there should just absolutely say, no way, I want nothing to do with that? How good is that LSU job?
I have this argument constantly, and Gojo and I had it last week because he said the same exact thing. You don't even have to be a good coach, and you can win a national championship at LSU. But I would also argue that even if you are a good coach, if you can't beat Saban, you're going to lose your job eventually. And that's the one thing that I don't think we put enough stock. I know coaches all think that they're going to be the world beater that beats Saban, but when you go to LSU, as Les Miles can attest to, I know that there were times that looked awful at the end, but you're still talking about somebody that essentially won 86% of his games and was fired because he couldn't beat Saban, right? And Ed O can go in and win a national championship, have a good recruiting class to back it up, and then it doesn't look good on the field, and they're like, yep, he gone. Like, at the end of the day, you can win a national championship, but you are going to be unemployed because you ain't going to beat Saban year in and year out. So if I'm Ryan Day, I would have no interest in it. In fact, frankly, if I'm, any of these big coaching staff guys, the guys that are considered the James Franklins of the world, the Joe Brady's of the world, if I had the choice between USC and LSU, I'd take USC because the money is going to be comparable and you can coach there for a really long time. And even if you lose 2 or 3 games a year, they're going to be happy with that. You win the Pac-12, but you don't make the playoff. That's not your fault. It's college football committee's fault. Like, there's enough built-in excuses. You can go there and have a heck of a life and live in California instead of going to Baton Rouge, where you can be a hero in the area that wins the national championship with one of the best teams of all time. And 2 years later, you're on the streets.
Yeah, you talk about some of the guys that are on that list that I keep hearing. I keep hearing Mel Tucker and I keep hearing Jimbo Fisher. Jimbo Fisher was the OC back when Saban was the head coach and they won a national championship there. Jimbo has come out several times and said he's not leaving A&M, and Mel Tucker said he's not leaving Sparty. So where are they going to find this next head coach to win them a national championship and then fire 2 years later?
Yeah, I think it is Joe Brady. I mean, I think part of this is Joe Brady is the offensive coordinator for Carolina, but he was the passing game coordinator that won that national championship. So if you're Brady, you're going to get a massive raise to go back there and do it all again, right? And you're going to get paid even though you have no proof of concept as a head coach to show that you can do that at that level. So I think Joe Brady is actually going to be the guy that ends up coming back because it makes a lot of sense. And I also don't think it's lost on anybody that they fired Coach O pretty publicly right after, but they didn't let him go. But they did that right after, John Gruden had his thing go down, and all of a sudden NFL teams are calling around looking for coaching candidates. So to me, that says that they're looking at NFL guys, and they wanted to get ahead of any conversation any NFL guy might have in a world where they can have those conversations without having to worry about tampering. So, that's why I keep thinking it's going to be Brady or it's going to be, somebody that's on a staff. If you can peel away an Eric Bieniemy or somebody like that, I think they're looking in the NFL ranks.
All right, good stuff. ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz. Jason, thanks so much. As always, have a great night. Tell everyone where they could find you tonight. Again, rankings, reactions, college football playoff rankings come out tonight. Only a few more weeks before the final one comes out. Where can people find you tonight?
Yeah, I'll be hanging out with Mike Golick Jr. and Christine Williamson on all the ESPN social platforms. So that's Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and in the ESPN app. And we start at 8 o'clock. So we'll eat a bunch of Cheez-Its and we'll react to the playoff rankings.
Sounds like a great time. Jason, you're the best. Thanks, man.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, good stuff. ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz. Good enough to hang out with us today. Kev and I will be back in just a moment. We talked about Baker Mayfield. Kev, it's mock draft season. Not really. but it is kind of funny. I've seen a couple mock drafts come out today. CBS Sports released an NFL mock draft for next year, and the Cleveland Browns are apparently looking for the replacement for Baker Mayfield. The name might surprise you. We'll talk about that when we come back.
Only Wendy's serves a better breakfast with a better biscuit. Our hot buttery breakfast biscuits are loaded with a fresh cracked egg, cheese, and your choice of bacon or sausage. And right now at Wendy's, they're only $1 each.
Wendy's breakfast biscuits, just $1.
So don't take a chance with those other guys. Bet your buck on a better breakfast with Wendy's bacon or sausage, egg, and cheese biscuit. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's.
Limited time only during breakfast hours. U.S. price of participation may vary. Limit 5 qualifying items per transaction. Not valid in a combo. Excludes honey butter chicken biscuit.
Do your pets have the same energy they used to? Do they have problems with itching, scratching, a dull coat, or goopy ears? Then your pets need Dinovite.
DINOVITE.com.
For over 20 years, pet owners have trusted Dinovite to supplement their pet's diet.
We started Dinovite, and in our first box, we noticed a difference.
Dinovite is an all-natural daily supplement made from whole foods that help support your pet's immune system, digestion, skin, and coat.
Within 3 weeks, he's not scratching and itching, and he's an all-around happier dog.
Today's commercial pet foods are processed at high temperatures, which bakes out all the essential goodness. These processed foods can lack the essential vitamins, enzymes, and probiotics that contribute to overall good health. Adding a scoop of Dinovite to your pet's food bowl is the answer.
If you love your pets as much as I do, you'll want to do what's best for them to live long, healthy, happy lives. I have 2 cats and 2 dogs. All 4 of them are on the Dinovite.
You won't believe how happy your dog will be.
DINOVITE.com.
Folks, when you feed your dog, does he just stand there and look at you? Make your dog great again with premium foods from Homestead Feed and Supply. If it eats, we can feed it. 1833 North Dayton Lakeview Road, New Carlisle. Tell them the Colonel sent you.
There's never any FOMO with the iHeartRadio app. You won't ever have to miss out on your favorite shows and contests with this radio station again. Radio 24/7, 365. We're here when you want us. Stay connected and listen anywhere when you download the free iHeartRadio app.
You have empty office space to fill or home office to create. You know what you need. You know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places what you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer's selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really, desks from $50 to $5,000. Filing cabinets from $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. With 25,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Larrick's Warehouse Outlet at 23 McOil Avenue, Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Larrick's, continuing the tradition.
Save on everything during Menard's last 11% rebate sale of 2021. We carry a great selection of automotive products in stock. Right now, all TowSmart accessories are 11% off. Save on a 10-pack ratchet strap and bungee cord set from Smart Straps. Only $21.99 after 11% rebate. Menard's last 11% rebate sale of 2021 is good through Wednesday, November 24th. Savings are mail-in rebates. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Fever is the leading symptom of COVID and the flu, and the only way to reliably detect it is with an accurate thermometer. Be vigilant and be accurate with the Exergen Temporal Scanner, whose accuracy has been proven in more than 100 clinical studies. Don't rely on non-contact thermometers. They are proven to be inaccurate and will not reliably detect a fever that might mean COVID. Be sure to seek medical advice at the first sign of fever. Learn more at Exergen.com.
Introducing Venture X, Capital One's new travel card for people always asking,
where next?
You earn 10x miles on hotels and rental cars, and 5x miles on flights booked through Capital One Travel, and 2x miles on everything else you buy with Venture X. Plus, receive premium travel benefits like access to over 1,300 airport lounges. The Venture X card from Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Bags under
under your eyes? That's junk sleep. And Mattress Firm can help. Shop the Black Friday sale and save up to $500 on top-rated mattress brands like Sleepy's.
Call William Brockman and Sons Heating and Air Conditioning at 937-222-8638 for reliable Lennox products that can make the air in your home absolutely perfect. Ohio license number 14911.
The thing about the Home and Auto Bundle from Progressive is that by now you've heard a lot of ads about the Home and Auto Bundle from Progressive. We don't even need the words the Home and Auto Bundle anymore to tell you that you could save big with the ring-tailed lemur from Progressive, or that every hot peach cobbler comes with round-the-clock service and protection. And that's the thing about the goat with magic powers. You've heard a lot of ads about the sushi in Vancouver. See how much you could save with the Home and Auto with the Shaman in the Jungle from Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Bundle discount not available in all states or situations.
Napa know-how.
Right now, a 5-quart jug of Napa full synthetic motor oil is only $19.99. It's the hottest deal of the year for the coldest time of the year. So if you're in your car right now, there's no need to turn on the heat. I'm about to read this sizzler again. That's Napa full synthetic for a hot $19.99. Quality parts, helpful people. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
At participating locations does not include taxes and fees. Advertised sale price not available in some states. Offer ends 12/31/21.
Hi, I'm Montgomery County Clerk of Courts Mike Foley.
And I'm Kettering Clerk of Court Rob Scott.
We're teaming up together to expand access to justice in our community. Our Help Center provides legal information and access to legal programs free of charge.
The Help Center can't provide legal advice, but if you need information on a wide range of legal issues, check in with the Help Center at Kettering Municipal Courthouse on the second and third Mondays of the month at no cost to you.
I'm Montgomery County Clerk of Courts Mike Foley.
And I'm Kettering Clerk of Court Rob Scott.
Visit courthouse2u.com.
If you need new roofing, siding, or gutters, skylights, or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding in Fairborn has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lance Roofing and Siding, 8460 Dayton Springfield Road in Fairborn. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722 or online at lanceroofing.com.
We are Dayton's home of the Ohio State Buckeyes.
And into the end zone goes Chris Olave. KJ Hill, 6-yard touchdown catch. Right sideline and down he goes to the end zone.
WING 1410 Dayton's ESPN Radio.
When getting the job done right is job one, you need construction equipment that's built right. From compact track loaders to the world's #1 selling compact excavator, the Kubota construction lineup features durable Kubota engines, more comfort, and the versatility to do it all and do it right. Visit your local Kubota dealer today. Go to KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
See Columbus Equipment Company, 7570 New Carlisle Pike in Dayton. If you are push mowing your yard using an inefficient lawn tractor, or your current zero-turn spends more time in the shop than mowing your grass, it's time you look at the Hustler zero-turn lawnmower. Residential mowers from Hustler are built like tanks and drive like sports cars. All Hustler mowers have fabricated welded steel decks. Don't settle on cheap units with flimsy stamp decks from big box stores. See Small Engine Service Pros and we'll guide you to the right mower for your property and your budget. 2030 North Dayton Lakeview Road, Route 235 in New Carlisle. Dayton Barrel Works Bourbon and Whiskey Bash is Saturday, November 20th, noon till 3 p.m. Over 40 bourbons and whiskeys to sample. For tickets, call 937-228-2337. Dayton Barrel Works, 318 East 2nd Street in Dayton.
Attention Class A CDL drivers. Looking to be more than just a number? Yoel Transportation in Dayton is looking for drivers with at least 1.5 years experience. Yoel has open positions for no-tarp flatbed drivers and no-touch regional or local van drivers. Yoel is ELD compliant and offers 401k with match, medical, dental, vision, holiday pay, vacation, safety bonuses, and now has a rider policy. Call Rick or Joe at 937-294-5933 and ask about the $5,000 sign-on bonus today.
My son is not some statistic.
My daughter's not a headline. My girl, she's not someone's agenda.
What
she is
irreplaceable.
COVID hospitalizations of young people have tripled since the start of summer.
So I talked to my daughter's doctor about COVID vaccines.
She said they're highly effective in preventing hospitalizations and deaths, even from the Delta variant.
We can do this. Find vaccines near you at vaccines.gov, paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Skyline is a staple in our lives. It's a way of connecting and it brings us together.
It's so nice that you take time out for you and your friends and enjoy that time together.
It's always a good feeling at Skyline.
We love our Skyline time.
Heard you're buying a car. I brought my calculator.
Dad, I already used Capital One Auto Navigator. I found my car online and got pre-qualified instantly, instead of all that.
You know those things impact your credit score.
Didn't impact my credit score, Dad. Now I'm going to the dealership for a test drive and to make the purchase.
Sounds too easy.
No, it's just easy. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms and conditions apply. Find out more at CapitalOne.com/Auto Navigator.
It's not just Santa who's coming to town, it's also your in-laws and their cousins. So time for some gifts from the Home Depot. From doorbell cameras to intelligent thermostats, you'll look smart and save big on the latest smart home gifts. Does your father-in-law like to fix things around the house? Put him to work with a DeWalt 20-volt 2-battery starter kit. Buy one, get one free. That should keep him busy. No matter who comes to town this year, make the holidays yours with savings on tools and gifts store-wide from the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
It takes 2 vaccines to help protect you this season, the flu and COVID-19. And now you can get both shots at the same visit. Learn more at cdc.gov/vaccines. Sponsored by Sanofi Pasteur.
Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street are huge supporters of the Dayton Flyers. Whether you're one of the 13,000 fans cheering on the Flyers at UD Arena or one of the hundreds of fans packed inside Tim's on game day, there is only 2 places that you can feel the passion of the Flyer faithful more than anywhere else. Timothy's Bar and Grill is also a sponsor of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash in the afternoons and the Talking Out Loud Hour on Thursday nights with Sully. Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street. Go Flyers.
Hey, here to tell you about my friends at Cordell Transportation. They're now hiring Class A CDL drivers and offering a $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily, dedicated lanes, and no-touch freight. Brand new equipment as well. Medical, dental, vision, and company-paid life insurance. Call Cody right now. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Hey, I'm college football Hall of Famer Keith Byers, and I'm here with John Glazier from Glazier Soft Water. Did you know we are Dayton's home of the Ohio State Buckeyes?
Yes, I did. But did you know that Glazier Soft Water is the home of the 7-year, worry-free parts and labor warranty? We've been making water great since 1988. What were you doing in 1988?
That was my 3rd year in the NFL with the Philadelphia Eagles. I had 10 touchdowns that season, and we made the playoffs in 1988.
So you can say that we both have been doing great since 1988. Glazier Soft Water. Glazier Water is better water.
We're a farm store, a family store, a look what I found store. We're a store made for real people and some real beasts. We're a hey neighbor kind of store and an everyday low price store. We're Rural King, and we're working hard to be your favorite store.
Black Friday starts now with white hot deals, like $99 for a DeWalt Max Drill Kit or frying oil, perfect for the holidays, just $24.89.
Hi, this is Eddie Sorrell, Service Manager at Germain Honda of Beaver Creek, recipient of Honda's President's Award. When your vehicle needs service, we make it convenient. Open 6 days a week, including all day Saturday. We also welcome same-day appointments and walk-ins as well. Our technicians are factory trained, and we offer a new state-of-the-art facility, clean waiting rooms, loaner cars, and free alignment checks as well. Ask for the $99.95 alignment special. Germain Honda Beaver Creek, Route 35, just east of 675, between Xenia and Beaver Creek.
Bags under your eyes? That's junk sleep. And Mattress Firm can help. Shop the Black Friday sale and save up to $500 on top-rated mattress brands like Sleepy's.
We're live. We're local.
What are you gonna miss? He struck him up.
We're Dayton's ESPN radio station. Now, let's send it to the WING studios for Dayton's only local sports talk show. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
Welcome back. Justin Kinner with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here on a Tuesday. Shout out to ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz. I appreciate him taking time and hanging out with us here today. Kev, there we go. Now we're off and rolling. Trying something different today. Felt a little under the weather yesterday. Decided to today play it safe and doing the show live from my kitchen. Kev is holding it down back in the WNG studios. Appreciate you, Kev.
No problem.
People who are flexible throughout this, and that's what COVID taught us from the very beginning. Yeah,
got to be convenient around here.
Yeah, like I didn't test positive for COVID, but I feel like dog crap. But when the mics go hot, man, I feel pretty good. So that's all that matters.
Yeah, I was talking to my mom. There's something going around. She wasn't feeling so great. She went and got tested for COVID. She came back negative. She also had her booster shot and everything like that. She just said for like a couple of days, she just didn't feel good. I had a little cough, felt a little ugh. But no vid, just was down for a couple of days, like a day or two, wasn't feeling great. Now she's back to 100%, chilling.
Yeah, and it's funny because it's like, now, when you get sick, it's COVID.
Right.
Stub my toe, it's COVID. But I started feeling crappy yesterday. I'm like, I still have my smell. I could still taste. I think I'm okay. And, got negative results. I'm fine. But just my head feels like 1,000,000 pounds. I could barely breathe out my nose. And Nora made me sleep on the couch last night because I was driving her crazy. Because there you go. But. All right. Jason was awesome, as always. Talked a lot in there. Talked about the fact that, we touched on this yesterday about Baker Mayfield, Kev, about so many people wanting to push Baker out the door in Cleveland. And I'm like, that should not be the conversation. If you want to yell at people and say, hey, he's not elite, okay, fine. I don't really know what argument you're winning there because not a lot of people are saying he's elite. Even at my peak homerism, never said he's elite. But to sit there and put him in the Mason Rudolph category or to put him at the bottom of the barrel category, I think that's kind of asinine as well. Kev, Jared Goff or Baker, who you taking?
Baker.
There are worse quarterbacks in the NFL that you could take. A year ago at this time, many people were having the debate about Matthew Stafford or Baker. And now I think everyone's going to say Matthew Stafford, and I think that's safe. I do think Matthew Stafford on this Browns team right now as constructed, they're probably better this year than with Baker Mayfield. But again, a healthy Baker, that's what makes this tough, Kev, is Baker was very good last year because he was healthy. This year, not healthy, and I think that plays a big role in it. I also think he makes dumb decisions. If you saw some of those interceptions that he threw or almost threw against New England, those weren't injury related. That was just bad decision making.
Right.
Like he was forcing the ball in spots he had no business doing. But at the end of the day, Cleveland has a tough choice to make moving forward. We brought up the Andy Dalton comparison, not about the stats, not about the way they sling the ball. They don't have a whole lot in common that way. But what they have in common is you have two teams who have good rosters, who you look at the quarterback and say, maybe we're so good at roster-wise that what's holding us back is quarterback. That was the Cincinnati Bengals from 2010 to 15. Great defense. A.J. Green, you had great offense. You didn't have elite running backs, but between, you had a solid running attack. Like they had everything they needed. So it was easy to look at the quarterback. The Browns have great weapons defensively on paper. Not very good on the field, but very good on paper. Great offensive line, great run game. The receivers look good on paper. So what everyone does is they look at that quarterback position and say, man, Patrick Mahomes on this roster would be elite.
Right.
Aaron Rodgers and so on and so on. So Baker's the weakling. But you're not going to find a lot of Baker Mayfields out there. There are more Baker Mayfields than there are Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes. So there's a mock draft that came out today, Kev. CBS Sports. And it amazes me. So CBS Sports puts out this mock draft, and they have the Browns picking at 16th. And now normally that sounds bad. I think that could be a lot of teams. I think a lot of teams right now are ranging within a game of picking in the top 10 or picking 25th. I mean, right now that's how tight the standings are. Kenny Pickett, the quarterback from Pittsburgh.
Seen him play a couple
That's who
games.
they have. That's who they have the Browns taking. Now, apparently Pickett had a third-round grade heading into the season and now has improved to having a first-round grade. Now, here's my problem with that. I mean, he's had a solid year. Super. But I think you have Hal, the kid from North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
He's taken a step back. We were all supposed to be talking about Spencer Rattler from Oklahoma. He's
transferring and will have to be back. He'll have to play another year in college to prove he's worthy of playing in the NFL. Desmond Ridder took a step back. I don't think that kid, he's been very solid for Cincinnati, very good college quarterback. I'm not looking at him and saying, oh, yeah, he's moving up the draft boards for a lot of teams. He could do work in the offseason during camps and stuff. But as of right now, the solution to replacing Baker Mayfield in the eyes of some is the draft. I don't like that, Kev. I mean, you have a backup in Case Keenum for another year. You have the fifth-year option for Baker Mayfield that they already picked up.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't waste a first-round pick on a quarterback, and especially in this draft. If it was a talented draft, it's one thing. Do not, if you're the Cleveland Browns, get a wide receiver. They're where the Ravens are right now. They need more help with pass catchers. They need playmakers. I will be furious if they get a quarterback, not because I'm a Baker homer, but I think that would be really stupid of the Browns to take a quarterback in next year's draft over overreaction to this injury-plagued season.
I say draft a quarterback, just not in the first 2 rounds. None of these dudes. I'm cool on all these dudes in the first round. I'm cool on Spencer Rattler in the first round. I'm cool on Pickett in the first round. I'm cool on Sam Howell in the first round. The only guy that I could potentially see a first round pick is Matt Corral from Ole Miss. Maybe him. I'm cool on JT Daniels, the quarterback out there at Arizona State. I like him, but I don't think none of these dudes are first round caliber quarterbacks right now. When you talk about getting a first round quarterback, you're expecting him to come in there and start taking snaps and compete for the starting job off the rip, unless you're Green Bay. So none of these dudes, I'm cool on all that. So if I'm the Cleveland Browns, I would get another young quarterback to come into camp and everything like that. And I wouldn't just go in there with just Baker and Case Keenum. I would want a young guy to take some reps and see what we can find or something like that. But spending a first round pick on one of them, no, I'm cool. Like you said, they're not, I don't think they're talented enough. Like the kid from Wake Forest, Hartman, like they're kind of like all the same. They're like, I don't see a big difference between Sam Hartman and Sam Howell. They like are basically the same quarterback. They're not horrible. They're good quarterbacks. I think they can play in the NFL, but I don't see like that upside, because that's really what it's all about. It's not really about their stats that you do in college or the games that you win in college or anything like that. We saw that with the breakdown of Justin Fields. They weren't talking about like, oh man, look at all the games you won at Ohio State. They're talking about what's his draft projections, like what is he going to become, like how far can he go? Can he go to the next level and things of that nature? I don't see a lot of these guys out there with the capability to do that.
What position, and I don't mean to talk draft in November, but it's stemming from this. Like, it got my attention because I honestly, I don't open up mock drafts, but when the headline was Browns take quarterback in first round in latest mock draft, it got my attention.
Got them clicks.
If you're the Browns. Let's go through the AFC North, through the Ravens, Steelers, Browns, Bengals. What's your chart? Not player, because me and you haven't dove into all the available players, but what's that position that you think each team needs to attack in the draft in the first round? For me, for the Browns, I mean, you've done what you can in that secondary. I mean, I'm not saying it's wrong. If the best one's there, fine, but I think they need wide receivers. They need playmakers. I have no problem with them going in free agency that route, but to me, if I'm the Browns, I know they have Harrison Bryant and other guys, but if you can get an elite tight end, do it. If you can get an elite wide receiver, do it. But they're in desperate need of playmakers right now, because I'm not sure what the future of Jarvis is. They might hit reset on wide receiver as a whole, Kev. I could see the Browns going wide receiver in the first round, and I think that's their biggest need. Defense, they have a lot of holes, but I think they're a defensive coordinator away from putting those pieces together. I don't think they desperately need more defensive weapons. I think they need a change in scheme. I think wide receiver is the direction that the Browns should go.
For the Browns, for me, it would be another defensive end or a linebacker. I'm going all defense if I'm the Cleveland Browns with the first 2 picks. I'm going to go try to get the best available pass rusher to put them on the other side. I'll put them on the other side of Garrett and everything like that, because you're not going to depend on Clowney to be there next year. I mean, I wouldn't imagine that. I mean, all you have to think about is injury history. So even if he does come back and sign another 1-year deal, you know, the way they've been using Clown, they've been using him on the outside and the inside. So maybe we can kick him all into the inside full time and get another young pass rusher on the other side of Myles Garrett. That's what I would do if I was the Cleveland Browns.
Your Steelers. Not a good quarterback draft. I mean, that's why there's talk of Aaron Rodgers. I know they took a chance with Dwayne Haskins. We'll get into the Dwayne Haskins thing in a moment, but I don't think Dwayne Haskins is the answer. And I don't know how many more Mason Rudolph games we need to see, Kev. He's been there for years, and he's your typical backup.
Right.
Like, that's your true definition of a backup. I'll take Case Keenum over him as a backup any day. But where do the Steelers go from here? I really hope they need a quarterback. So I hope they don't just take a quarterback because they need one, because just because you need one, this isn't a draft class, and I think you're going to find your next dude. But this is also a team that created a dynasty with the kid that played in the MAC at my favorite school, Miami of Ohio. So, what do your Steelers do?
O-line or safety? O-line or safety. Whoever is the best offensive tackle prospect out there, I want them. Period. Point blank. We talked about this last year in April when I was talking about Creed Humphrey. I wanted Creed Humphrey to be the next center for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And what is Creed Humphrey doing right now? He's the highest rated offensive lineman among rookies out there in Kansas City. Like, I want an offensive lineman. I want a tackle, an anchor tackle for whomever is going to be the next quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then I would say if there's not like an elite offensive lineman available, I want to impact safety. I mean, I know Minka Fitzpatrick is up for a contract and everything like that. They're probably going to hit him with the franchise tag, but you want to get a strong safety to play alongside of him. So I will go with offensive lineman or a playmaking safety.
And then the Ravens, do they keep throwing at wide receiver? Here's what they got to focus on, Kev. They got to focus defense, because Lamar's about to get paid, and they're about to embark on that Seattle Seahawks journey in the Dallas Cowboys, where you became so weak defensively because you couldn't afford guys. So they have to piece things together in the draft. I think that the Ravens have to go all defense in the draft moving forward and continue to ignore the wide receiver need. They might have to address that in the free agency. I think the Ravens have to focus on defense in the draft with young talent more than anything.
I would definitely go offensive line, because Andre Villanueva, the former Pittsburgh Steeler offensive tackle, he's a turnstile. And, he was a turnstile with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's a turnstile with the Ravens. I know they kicked him to the other side, play left tackle, because their starting left tackle is out for the season and everything like that. And he's played better. But you saw that Dolphins game, he was getting turnstile. He was getting spun around. So you need to find that young offensive tackle to replace the one you gave to Kansas City. You made them better by making your team weaker. And, you want to protect Lamar because you're about to break the back and give him a whole bunch of money. So you probably want to protect him. So I will go offensive line or I will go corner, because you can't depend on guys to remain healthy. And, their whole defense is predicated along like pressuring the quarterback and everything like that. You can't pressure the quarterback if you don't have corners to play man to man. Humphrey's good, but, Jimmy Smith, he ain't good no more. So you probably should go offensive line or the best cornerback available.
And then the Bengals, I think it's a given.
We know what it is. Wide receiver.
Kicker.
Punter. No. Cincinnati Bengals, I think it's the same thing that the Ravens. You can't depend on Trey Waynes to play because he hasn't played. You can't roll out there with Eli Apple constantly getting toasted. So you got to find a cornerback. Whoever's the best cornerback available, you got to have him on your team, and offensive line to protect Joe Burrow. I think Bengals and the Ravens go hand in hand on their draft needs. They got to protect their young quarterback, and then you got to get somebody to be out there on that island that can actually play some defense, because we've seen for year and year, Eli Apple is not that dude. And until Trey Waynes comes on the field and actually plays, that position is going to be picked on. So you got to get somebody to replace that spot.
All right, it's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine, OGW Energy Resources, and Timothy's Bar and Grill. We'll talk a little Dwayne Haskins on the other side. Dwayne Haskins, just, again, more questions about his ability to play in the National Football League. Had a situation in Pittsburgh where an opportunity to give him a start against the Lions this past Sunday, it did not surface, and there's reports as to why that didn't happen. Should we put stock into that for the future of Dwayne Haskins and the Buckeye quarterback? We'll talk about that. Plus, we'll also dive into the A10 for the Dayton Flyers. I don't know if this is a good or a bad thing. It sounds good. The A10 just added a team that was recently in the Final Four. But what has so many Flyer fans upset? We'll talk about that when we come back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be mainly clear and sunny, a high near 55. Tonight's going to be mostly cloudy, a low near 50. And tomorrow's going to be mostly cloudy and windy, a high near 70. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Weather is brought to you by Cullet Propane, making buying propane easy since 1952, offering budget billing and pre-buy options. Find out more at culletpropane.com.
For the ones finding new ways to ensure the job always gets done. For the ones wearing many hats. For the ones who are hands-on, even from far away. And the ones keeping business moving forward. We are Grainger, offering supplies and solutions for every industry, with 24/7 support and experienced staff at over 250 local branches. Call, clickgrainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Heard you're buying a car. I brought my calculator.
Dad, I already used Capital One Auto Navigator. I found my car online and got pre-qualified instantly, instead of all that.
You know those things impact your credit score.
Didn't impact my credit score, Dad. Now I'm going to the dealership for a test drive and to make the purchase.
Sounds too easy.
No, it's just easy. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms and conditions apply. Find out more at CapitalOne.com/Auto Navigator.
It's not just Santa who's coming to town, it's also your in-laws and their cousins. So time for some gifts from the Home Depot. From doorbell cameras to intelligent thermostats, you'll look smart and save big on the latest smart home gifts. Does your father-in-law like to fix things around the house? Put him to work with a DeWalt 20-volt 2-battery starter kit. Buy one, get one free. That should keep him busy. No matter who comes to town this year, make the holidays yours with savings on tools and gifts store-wide from the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
OHMB 803-342 and MLS 304138. Do you need help with a loan to purchase or refinance your home? Have you applied for a home loan and been told you do not qualify for a loan? Are you a first-time buyer and have questions regarding the home buying process? Are you considering refinancing your existing home? Do you live in Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana, Florida, or South Carolina? If you answered yes to any of the above questions, you need to call Forrest Ferris at 3rd Street Financial Home Loans at 513-320-5911, who is available 7 days a week to help you. We're 3rd Street Financial Home Loans, and Forrest Ferris specializes in approving home loans banks and other lenders cannot or will not approve. Some of our clients might have low credit scores, been through a divorce, want to buy a home for sale by owner, are in a land contract, or dealing with probate or estate homes. Call Forrest now for a free estimate. 513-320-5911. That's 513-320-5911. Offer valid for purchase or refinancing of homes located in Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana, Florida, and South Carolina only. Minimum loan amount $60,000. Limitations and restrictions apply.
Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street are huge supporters of the Dayton Flyers. Whether you're one of the 13,000 fans cheering on the Flyers at UD Arena or one of the hundreds of fans packed inside Tim's on game day, there is only two places that you can feel the passion of the Flyer faithful more than anywhere else. Timothy's Bar and Grill is also a sponsor of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash in the afternoons and the Talking Out Loud Hour on Thursday nights with Sully. Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street. Go Flyers.
Germain Honda, Beaver Creek is your local Honda dealer. For a limited time, get 0% financing on the 21 Passport, the 22 Pilot, and HRV, or 1.9% for 48 months on the 22 Odyssey. Lease a 22 HRV Sport for as little as $229 a month, or a CRV Hybrid EX for as little as $279 a month. See me, Sales Manager Jason High, for all the details. We are located on Route 35, just east of 675 between Xenia and Beaver Creek. Germain Honda, Beaver Creek, the right car, the right price, the right way. I hope to see you soon.
In the Army National Guard, soldiers serve part-time and close to home.
My community means everything to me. It helps shape me into who I am today, and is where I choose to raise my own family. That's why I joined the Army National Guard. I'm proud of where I'm from, and as a soldier, I get to give back to the people that helped me succeed. The education benefits I got from serving helped me get my degree and jumpstart my career. The training and leadership skills I've gained from the Army National Guard help me every day when I teach young people, help my neighbors, and look out for my community. I know that when my neighbors need us the most, my fellow soldiers and I will be ready. My family loves it here, and my part-time service means we get to stay here.
Serve part-time in the community you live in as a proud member of the Army National Guard. Talk to your local recruiter or visit nationalguard.com. Sponsored by the Ohio Army National Guard. Aired by the Ohio Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Save on everything during Menards' last 11% rebate sale of 2021. Masterforce has the largest selection of power tool accessories with over 500 accessories in stock. From drill and dry bits to saw blades, sanding belts, and discs. Save today with 11% off all Masterforce power tool accessories. Menards' last 11% rebate sale of 2021 is good through Wednesday, November 24th. Savings are mail-in rebates. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
There's confusion about how to protect yourself from COVID. One thing is certain. Whether or not you're vaccinated, you need an accurate thermometer to check for fever, the leading sign of flu and COVID. Be vigilant and contact your medical provider at the first sign of fever. Don't rely on non-contact thermometers that have no scientific studies. Only the Exergen temporal scanner thermometer has been proven accurate in more than 100 clinical studies. Learn more at exergen.com.
At CDW, we get that even the biggest jobs need to fit on your lap.
It's true. My entire workday happens right here on my lap.
And you can get it done faster with the performance and security of a device configured by CDW and powered by the Built for Business Intel vPro platform.
Nice.
Are you done yet, Mommy?
More time for story time.
An even better use of your lap. IT orchestration by CDW. People who get it. Find out more at cdw.com/Intel client.
Staples Connect is a new world of possible with innovative tools for small business and remote workers and learners. Explore what's new at your local Staples store or staplesconnect.com.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. Weekdays at 3 p.m. right here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. All sports, all the time. This is 1410 ESPN Radio.
Welcome you back. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. About an hour ago, it was announced that Loyola Chicago will be joining the Atlantic 10 starting in 2022-2023. Loyola, again, made it to the Final Four back in 2018. This past NCAA tournament, making all the way to the Sweet 16. Loyola was announced just earlier today that they will be joining the A-10 starting in 2022. Now, anytime you take a program that has made a Final Four run and add them to your conference, it's a good thing, right? I mean, whether it's in your conference or outside, but the A-10, right now it's weakening, but it's 15 members deep now. I guess I saw Sully tweet out a little bit ago that it's been many, many years since the A-10 has been able to get 3 or more teams into the NCAA tournament. I mean, every year, of course, you have your St. Louis's, you have your St. Bonaventures. Dayton's been in the mix as well. Dayton's been down for a while. I know that, you had that 2020 run with Obi Toppin, but outside of that, ever since Archie Miller left, the program's just been okay. They're okay this year. They were okay last year. They were okay the year before in 2019, and they weren't very good in 2018. Ever since Archie Miller left, the Flyers program has just been okay. It hasn't been great, but it's been heavily carried by that 2020 season with Obi Toppin, and that'll always be what Anthony Grant's tenure at UD will be remembered for. It'll be that special 2020 season, that season of what could have been. But surrounding that season, it's been a lot of average. It's been a lot of below average. Recruiting's gone up. I think that was the rub, of course, the 2020 run, which is all you can ask for. I think between what Archie did, built with that 2020 season, it's not a coincidence that Anthony Grant was able to tab the program's highest rated recruiting class ever. What they do with it, that's going to be important, because there's still a lot of questions about Anthony Grant's ability to coach his, the X's and O's. Like, I know the dude knows the game. He knows more. I'm not going to pretend to know more than he does. But the results are not always what fans are wanting. Some will tell you they're fine with the way it is. Others will tell you that the bar should be higher. And then others will say you have no business losing to teams like UMass Lowell. But I am surprised to see so many UD fans upset at the fact that Loyola was added to the A-10. I've seen some fans on Twitter say, hey, they should just get rid of Fordham. I'd cut Fordham and cut LaSalle. And to be fair, I do like the addition of Loyola. I don't know why that's a bad thing. I think that could only help. That's another program that has that NCAA tournament pedigree, that already has that reputation of being a tough out in the NCAA tournament. Now I know it'll be different. The path to get to that at-large bid, sure, it might be easier, as in more of an opportunity, more teams to go up against on the week-in, week-out basis that are going to put you in position. It's going to be tougher. Loyola's going to be knocked down a peg. We saw this with Butler years and years ago when they had their success in the Horizon League. In fact, they made it to back-to-back national championship games, back-to-back Final Fours and everything along those lines. But they've never been the same. Everyone thinks that going to a bigger conference all of a sudden makes you better. If anything, it makes things more difficult. Sure, more money, more resources, more opportunity. You get more respect out on the scheduling trail, right? Like, I don't think that nobody wants to come play at UD Arena because they genuinely fear the Dayton Flyers. I mean, hell, UMass Lowell just got a win at UD Arena. I just think that a lot of you don't get those bigger programs that want to come play at UD Arena, not because they fear UD, but because they don't want to play at an A-10 school. If UD ever jumped to a bigger conference, you would start to get more bigger games at the arena than non-conference. The good thing for you Flyer fans, though, you guys don't go to UD games to watch the opponent. You go to watch the Flyers. And that's what makes that program so special and the fan base so special. You guys love the damn program more than you care about the opponents that they play. Now, some will complain, but overall, when you buy tickets to watch the Flyers, you're paying to go watch the Flyers. You're not paying to go watch the opponent. You can argue that for Wright State, although I do believe that fan base has grown over the last couple of years, especially since Coach Nagy's taken over, if they don't have a bigger opponent at that arena, and for big for them would be like a MAC school or more of a like opponent, attendance isn't that great at these games. So there's a difference. Like, you have to bring someone in that is going to make people come watch, as opposed to UD, who you guys will go fill up that arena to watch them play anybody like you did against this past Saturday. But Loyola, does this automatically make them better by going to the A-10? You could argue it makes them a little worse, mainly because the opportunities of losing increase. The level of competition's higher. More losses means more of a banged-up resume, which means your at-large opportunities are going to be slim, which means you have to rely on winning the A-10 tournament. That's not easy to do. The Dayton Flyers have been one of the most impressive programs out of the A-10 for quite some time now. It's been over a decade plus since they've won an A-10 tournament championship. So it's tough to do, but it is cool. I think it's a good thing for the A-10. However, I'm tired of these conferences expanding. I want to see the conferences shrink. I have no problem with Loyola coming in. Somebody needs to go out. Fordham needs to go out. Somebody needs to go out. But I'm not a big fan of that. Kev, your thoughts on conferences who keep I love the addition of Loyola. I think that's big. But I don't think you need 15 teams, and maybe there's another one on its way to make it even. But I'm tired of seeing these conferences expanding when you have so much dead weight at the bottom.
It's topsy-turvy, man. It's all topsy-turvy, and it's because of college football. You had former great basketball conferences like the Big East who basically were ravaged because of college football, and teams like Syracuse left the Big East to go to the ACC and things like that. So now it's just basically just jumping ship from a conference to a conference, trying to find a home, trying to find those TV dollars and everything like that. And it's really sad because, we talk about teams having a home and, we got X amount of championships in our conference and everything like that and having banners and everything like that. It's going to be a point where, basketball conferences like the Big East and like the A-10, they're going to be obsolete because of the Power 5 conferences. We're going to start using that lingo for them as well, which it kind of sucks. And you talk about teams like the bottom feeders and everything like that. I view it much like I view college football and everything like that. It's up to them to step their game up. It's up to them to step their game up and to get better players and to find those hidden gems. Everybody plays basketball. They play basketball in every country on this planet. You can find somebody to put that ball in a hole and make your team better. You got to try harder. You got to recruit in your own backyard. Recruit in your own backyard and instead of letting talent from your own area go to other schools that are actually in your conference and then transfer out of the conference and then go to Power 5. So when you talk about those type of things, those are the type of things that frustrate me because I know there's a ton of good talent out there. Just people just like get bogged down in their ways and they just recruit that same base over and over and over again.
Yeah, you talk about that. By the way, how about Amari Davis, by the way, going to Missouri?
Yeah, imagine that.
Missouri got beat by Kansas City last night. Got upset on their home floor.
How many Amari
That's that Kansas City team is actually coached by Billy Donlin, who used to coach at Wright State before Coach Nagy got there. But I thought that, anyways, you brought up the recruiting in your backyard.
Yeah.
That talent should not be out here. That talent should either be at Wright State, and if you're going to be playing at a bigger school, then maybe, the king of the A-10 here in town should have been able to land that kid, but it is what it is. But 518-1410. But my point is, I'm looking forward to watching Loyola come to UD Arena. That's a big one. You know, you got your VCUs, you got your St. Louis's, St. Bonaventures, you add Loyola into the mix. I'm really confused as to why so many Flyer fans are upset about this. And help me out. I'm not trying to get into a sparring match with anybody like that. I'm just curious. Like, I think this is a good thing. What am I missing? 518-1410. 518-1410. Give us a call. I think this is a good thing, Loyola in the A-10 starting in 2022. Why are so many people on Twitter upset about this? I must be missing something. Help me out. If you want to chime in on anything else we've talked about, whether it be the Browns, the Bengals, the Bearcats, Buckeyes, college football, what have you, the phone lines are open as well. Kev, who do we have?
We got Sean.
Sean, how are you, sir? Welcome.
Hey, I'm good, Justin. How are you?
Good.
Good. Hey, first of all, I want to cover something yesterday you were talking about needing a manager. Justin, you are a true natural heel. You would need to be a heel manager. That's what you would. You don't need a manager. You need to be a heel manager.
So I could be like a Paul Heyman. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. You'd be perfect.
I would love to be Paul Heyman. When someone asked me what professional wrestler I wanted to be a while back, I did say Paul Heyman. Everyone was thinking I was going to say Roman Reigns or like Triple H or something. I'm like, no, Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman is my idol, by the way.
Yep, I'm right there with you. And I'm sorry that I wasn't able to listen a couple weeks ago after your Browns smashed my Bengals. I'm sure that was a glorious day of radio that you had. But because I definitely did not see that coming. But kind of speaking of like the AFC North, I'm at a loss. Like, I don't really know. I'm like with you guys. I don't really know who to handicap. I mean, I guess I would probably lean towards either the Steelers or the Ravens just based on coaching. When you're getting down, to the nitty gritty, the end of the season, when it really matters. I don't know if I really trust Zach Taylor, even though I think they have a lot of talent. Plus, their Bengals schedule is really tough down the stretch, or at least it's tougher. And then the Browns, they have the most talent, but I just don't like. It's hard to shake that thing of it's the Browns, so it's the Bengals. So I just don't as much as it pays me to say. I mean, I think I probably trust Tomlin the most. To say that they might end up somehow, keep putting the ship in the right direction and possibly winning the division. Maybe the Ravens. I don't really know, but it's very hard to handicap when they're all kind of bunched together, and they've all
that's
been
why I shaped that question
good
that
and all
way.
been bad.
With the entire conference struggling. I mean, you have the tie with the Lions by the Steelers, the Ravens dropping 2 of their last 3. The Bengals have lost 2 straight coming out of the bye week now. And the Browns just got absolutely curb stomped by the New England Patriots. Now, they did beat down on the Bengals, but before that, they had that embarrassing loss against Pittsburgh. Now, it's Pittsburgh. It's not that big of a surprise to lose to Pittsburgh. But you held him to 15 points and you only scored 10. That's a problem. Right. And, and then you score 7 points 2 weeks later after putting up 40 or whatever on the Bengals. It's hard to figure out this division. I just think that the Bengals should be the most confident of them all moving forward, just because I think that they're the healthiest right now. But you are right. Coaching is going to hold them back, and coaching is what is propelling the Steelers forward. No other coach. If the Steelers, with the same roster, have any other coach, they're not 5-3-1 or 5-4-1 or whatever they are right now.
I would definitely 100% agree with that. And by the way, the Bengals should draft a punter in the first round. That's clearly their weakness. Or maybe another wide receiver. Kev, you were right.
Playmakers.
Yep. Hey, you guys have a good day.
Later.
Take care, Sean. Yeah, he brings up a good point. We still haven't heard from Steve from Springboro.
Oh, man.
So what Sean was referring to is yesterday I'd mentioned that, if I was a WWE wrestler and I needed a tag team partner or a manager or a muscle, that would be Steve from Springboro. What the problem is, I can't find him anywhere. And Bengals fans have been calling him out saying, hey, the Browns have 5 losses this year and we have not heard from you after those losses. I tried to give him a shot to call in yesterday to debunk that theory. Maybe it was just a coincidence. Maybe work just happened to be very busy on those 5 Mondays. But it does look like Steve's hiding, and I can't defend him. But he is my go-to guy if I ever need a tag team partner in a fight. Just saying.
You know what? I got to give a lot of credit to all the college football fans out there. It took everybody until week 11 of the college football season before they started going crazy. Normally, people go crazy with football, especially college football, from the word go, and your team sucks and your conference sucks. I'm proud of everybody who actually took in the games and enjoyed the games, and it took them all the way until now before they started acting crazy. Can you believe that we are this deep into the college football season? We only have 2 more guaranteed Ohio State games left this season with Michigan State, the team up north, and in the NFL. Granted, the season goes all the way until February, March now, but we are basically past the halfway mark of the NFL season. And that's why I cherish these football Saturdays and Sundays so much, because they're finite. They're finite because come January, it's going to start to get into NBA season and everything like that. And I'm sure we'll be having great conversations and we'll agree on all our NBA takes, right, Kenner?
Always. That's why we don't talk NBA. All right, we'll step away for a few moments. On the other side, we'll put a bow on the show, and definitely want to dive into this. The Cincinnati Reds. The Dayton Dragons are to the Cincinnati Reds what the Cincinnati Reds are to the Dodgers. MLB trade rumors are circulating like crazy right now, and you guessed it, the Dodgers are in heavy pursuit of one of the Reds' top stars. We'll talk about that to close it out when we come back.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
This is Edwin Moses, Olympic champion and world record holder in the 400-meter hurdles. I'm a proud Daytonian, and I've got an important message today for men, especially you guys over 40. As an Olympian and physicist, I focused on my numbers for most of my life. Over 400 meters, 10 hurdles, 13 steps, 122 races over 9 years, 9 months, 9 days. I ran and I won. Now I focus on my most important stats: blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, and PSA levels. Those are the numbers that really count. So if you don't know your numbers, now is the time. See your primary care provider regularly to stay on top of your game, because no matter your age, every day and every number counts.
This message is brought to you by Molina Healthcare and Community Health Centers of Greater Dayton.
I've been working at Skyline for 5 years now, and I love it. My favorite thing about working at Skyline is just the people. I've become really good friends with a few of my coworkers over time. It's just not coming into work, sitting down, and going home. You create a bond at Skyline. You become a family in a sense. You're working together every day. You're learning from each other. For me, it's been a great benefit at Skyline, and I just love it, honestly.
Skyline Chili is now hiring. Apply online at skylinechili.com/careers.
Buying a car on the internet, this is for you.
Hi, this is Mike Foley, your Montgomery County Clerk of Courts. If you're buying a car online, here are a few easy steps to keep yourself safe. Just remember CAR. C, contact the seller to confirm their identity. A, assignment, a title free and clear of liens and properly assigned. R, research. Find a way to pay for the car by using a secure method where you can dispute the charge in case of fraud. Call us at 225-4480.
Brought to you by Montgomery County Clerk of Courts, Mike Foley.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
Did you know Prilosec OTC can stop frequent heartburn before it begins? Yep, I said before. Block heartburn at the source by taking the Prilosec OTC 2-week challenge. With just 1 pill a day, you get 24-hour heartburn relief. That's all day. Start the 2-week challenge today at prilosecotc.com and live heartburn-free. Just 1 pill a day, 24 hours, 0 heartburn. It's possible while taking Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
It's not magic that will deliver 1 billion packages to homes across the country this holiday. It's the United States Postal Service. And we don't need a team of reindeer to do it because we've added more vehicles to our fleet. And while we don't come down your chimney, we can pick up presents for you and yours. So if making more holiday deliveries to homes in the U.S. than anyone else seems like magic, that means we're doing our job. Share the magic at USPS.com/helpers.
Finding the right Medicare plan may feel impossible, but now it's anything but. With Walgreens Find RX coverage tool, you can compare plans online, over the phone, or in person, making Medicare easier than ever. Easier than picking which true crime doc to watch, figuring out that Wi-Fi password, or putting the duvet cover back on. So if you can do those things, with Find RX coverage, you can definitely Medicare. Find the plan that's right for you by visiting walgreens.com/Medicare.
There's a confusion about how to protect yourself from COVID. But one thing is for sure, whether or not you're vaccinated, you need an accurate thermometer. Contact your medical provider at the first sign of fever, the leading sign of COVID and the flu. Only the Exergen Temporal Scanner Thermometer has been proven accurate in more than 100 clinical studies. Be vigilant and don't rely on non-contact thermometers. They have no scientific studies behind them and can miss the fever that might mean COVID. Learn more at Exergen.com.
Want to hear something amazing? Discover matches all the cash back you earn on your credit card at the end of your first year. Learn more at discover.com/match. Limitations apply.
NFL fans, the season is finally here. Get your picks submitted at wingam.com. Click on contest and enter the Pro Football Challenge. Weekly winners will win $20 in Frickers Fun Bucks. Get to wingam.com and get your NFL picks submitted now. Incredible! Good luck. College football playoffs, Browns, Bengals, Buckeyes, and more. Catch the Keith Byers Show Mondays at noon on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Justin Kinner, Kev Nash back with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. We're live on Facebook, live on YouTube, like we are each and every weekday from 3 to 6 p.m. Make sure you like and subscribe to the Justin Kinner Show Facebook page and, of course, ESPN Dayton's YouTube channel. So I said that the Dayton Dragons are to the Cincinnati Reds, what the Cincinnati Reds are to basically the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Los Angeles Dodgers are heavily interested in Luis Castillo and Sonny Gray, and there's, of course, Major League Baseball trade rumors are circulating out there that the Reds are right now shopping anybody and everybody. Nobody is safe on this roster. Of course, you have your Joey Votto, who's not going anywhere, has that no trade. He's not going to lift that. Although, if I'm Joey Votto, with the way he contributed last year, I mean, I guess I could praise him for his loyalty to the Reds, but I find it kind of foolish. I've always said this. I find athletes who don't have that drive to go try to win a championship, especially later in their career when they know that their opportunity, that door has been closed with their current team. I've never understood that. Some say, oh, how cute, that's loyalty. I almost look at it as a weakness. Like they lack that competitive drive. I said the same thing about A.J. Green. You know, when A.J. Green was in Cincinnati and it was losing season after losing season after losing season, A.J. Green kept saying, oh, well, I love it here. I want to finish my career here. I can't imagine playing anywhere but Cincinnati. And I said, this isn't Kinner taking a shot at the Bengals as a hater, but I question his competitive spirit or nature because it's like you only have a small window to be a professional athlete. You only have a small window to play at your prime. and you have no problem sticking it out with the rebuilding team that you have no clue when they'll be good again, I have a problem with that. That to me says, hey, that star right there, they don't have that competitive instincts that I would like in my athlete. And Joey Votto's the same way. He signs that deal in 2012. They start the rebuild. There was rumors of the Reds looking to kick the tires on trading Joey Votto, but the only reason they didn't is because Votto would turn it down every single time. Votto gave it his best. Votto, I give an A+ to. Fantastic career, Reds Hall of Famer, potential future Major League or Pro Baseball Hall of Famer, all that stuff, Baseball Hall of Fame, what have you. But your window in Cincinnati, it's done. The Reds are about to start another rebuild. Joey Votto needs to go to the front office and say, get me out of here. Get me to the Dodgers. The Dodgers need a first base. Well, they did. Obviously, that's why they ended up getting Pujols. Muncy goes down last game of the regular season. They didn't have him during the playoffs. But get Joey Votto on a contender. Get him on a contender. There is no purpose whatsoever for Joey Votto to stay in Cincinnati. Now, one Reds fan would be disappointed if he went and said, I want to go close my career out with a contender. I would understand. You would understand. We should all understand. I think Joey Votto is showing a weakness here by wanting to remain in a rebuilding situation in Cincinnati again. You know there's no World Series on the horizon. There's not even a playoff berth on the horizon. This is a city and a front office and a fan base that did cartwheels because David Bell finished above 500 and still missed the playoffs. So I question Joey Votto's competitive spirit. I don't respect it. And I really I wish he had more of that drive inside of him that says, get me to a contender. I would pull for Joey Votto no matter where he goes, whether it be to the Astros, whether it be to the Cardinals. I don't care. When you name the team that needs a first baseman, the Cardinals don't. They have Paul Goldschmidt. But you see my point. I was just naming teams that I hate. The Cubs moved on from Rizzo, right? Does he go to Chicago? I don't know. The point is, I'm a Joey Votto fan, and I want him to go chase a ring. I want to see him play in October. And I don't mean that October 1st or 2nd to close out the regular season like he does for the Reds. I mean actually play in October. So I'd question that. I'm not a big fan of that mindset. Kevin Love with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Get out of there, man. Now they're good this year. They're okay. Unfortunately, Kev, you see Mobley out for a month?
Just when things are starting to look up, man. So now Sexton's out, Mobley's out. Got to rely on Garland.
They were rolling last year. Remember Colin Sexton looked like a superstar, and everyone's like, oh, Cleveland's arrived. Remember they beat a good team last year, too, on ESPN, and everyone went nuts.
Beat the Nets.
They were one of the worst teams by the end of the year. I don't think that's this group. I think if they get healthy, they're fine, but I don't know. Real quick, before we close it out, let's go to the phones. Kev, who do we have?
Sean.
No, we got Sean. Nate.
Hey,
how you doing there? Real good. I just want to talk about a little bit about Baker. I'm still a Baker fan. I think his biggest thing is he's going through the contract year, and I think he's trying to impress, the coaches and the front office to get that big money. And I think what Cleveland really needs to step back, they are the offense of a running game than passing. Baker's probably good for 5-10 yard passing, but the main workhorse is the running backs. Last week, if Chubb was there, would they beat Patriots? I don't know. I think Patriots will still win, but I think the score will be a little more better what it was. And at the same time, too, you had Ernest in there. Who was backing him up? I mean, there was no other help for him but himself.
They abandoned the run.
And, yeah, I mean, but the thing is, because they had nobody else to back him up. I mean, when you had Chubb, you had Kareem Hunt. I mean, you had Ernest in there during that time to pick up, their breathing time, to get a break and all that. Well, they didn't have that last week. And I think what Baker needs to do, I think he just needs to sit back, depend on his running backs. If it means get the 5-yard pass, get the first down, or get the third down, let's go. I think people just need to relax.
You still there?
Nate, you still there?
Yes, I'm here.
And Nate, thank you. We could cut him real quick. Nate, I appreciate the call. No, you make a lot of good points. I don't mean to rush you off. We're just out of time. As far as this game against the Patriots was concerned, they abandoned the run early. I think Kevin Stefanski panicked. They went up 7-0. Then the Patriots come right down, tie it up, and then the what I thought was going to be a pick six, it just set up a one-play drive for to go up the way that they did, and they panicked. I thought that the play calling showed Kevin Stefanski panicking.
Yeah.
Sean on Facebook. Oh, what's that, Kevin?
I said, try to figure that, like, oh, man, we about to be in a shootout. I got to score right away.
Last thing on the way out, Sean on Facebook said about Joey Votto, wouldn't it be more competitive to stay with your team and make them even better rather than join other stars on a team that's already good? Not that I have a problem with either. Sean, what I mean by this is it's not like Joey Votto's still in his prime and has a lot of years of baseball left. Joey Votto has given the Reds organization everything. And to me, what I question is a guy that has never been able to even play outside of the first round of the playoffs. It's like, where's that drive of wanting to at least experience that? You've won an MVP. You've been a part of a lot of good in rebuilding teams with the Reds. It's your last opportunity. He showed last year he could still play. The Reds are about to blow this up. They're about to fill this farm system up. That's why they're about to move on from Luis Castillo and Sonny Gray. So Joey Votto, I just find it very odd. I question his competitive nature that he's just willing to close out his career on a rebuilding Reds team. I find that odd. It's just strange to me. It's not like Votto's in his prime. If Votto, like, I love that when Votto signed his deal that he stuck it out with the rebuild for the Reds. But you already did it once, and you didn't get rewarded for it. And I feel bad about that, but I do wish that he would go somewhere. I would love to see him play into October and have a chance to get a World Series or at least a playoff run in him. But maybe I was a little aggressive with saying I don't respect his competitive nature. You don't become as good as Votto if you don't have that competitive nature. But yeah, Sean, that's why if Votto was younger, I wouldn't be saying that. I would be saying, oh, here we go, another star wanting to push their way out of Cincinnati. But Votto's given it his all. I just want to see the guy go and play on a contender, and the Reds look like they're about to embark on another rebuild. Buckeye fans, the Buckeye Roundtable coming up next. Don't go anywhere. Paul Keel, Skip Mossick, and the gang take over from here. Until tomorrow, it's been the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.